My special friends. Can everyone say hi to my friend?
Back from the dead.
I hold in my hand an actual Funko Pop Scream a ghost face. This is not a fake one. This is the original one because not that anyone else is, but I am, just so you know where I'm coming from, your friendly neighborhood Master Cast. By the way, welcome to the party. I'm an OG Scream fan. I was there opening night. I saw the movie twice in a row. I've never done that before. Well, as soon as I came out of it, I said, "Jesus, I think I might have seen one of my favorite movies of all time." I went right in and saw it a second time. I've followed the franchise since then, and now we're here with technically part 5. I have a lot to say, and so do my friends here. I have a massive panel of people I would call cinema experts, horror experts, and I'm honored to share the screen with them. First of all, I'm going to say hello to my friend Knight from the Night Watch Zone. How are you, buddy? Oh, he's muted. There he is. What's up, man?
How's it going, man? I'm happy to be here, man.
Oh, I'm honored to have you here, sir. I'm very honored, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Now, I have, like I said, I've watched everybody's review, kind of, but I didn't want to know too much about how everybody felt. So I've sort of stayed away. I see like maybe the first half of everybody's video, and then I popped off because like, okay, I'm gonna go too deep down the rabbit hole right now, and I just want to experience it from the horse's mouth. But this is a weird This is a weird segue. But speaking of horses' mouths, hey Dan from Reject Films, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. Thank you for the invite. Really appreciate it. Just saw the movie today, so awesome.
Excellent. So it'll be nice and fresh for you. I love that. Killjoy Jake, you're the youngster of the group. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to be here, man. Talk a little Scream.
Oh man, and you've been covering it from the friggin' beginning. So you know, I've followed your coverage and I've been impressed. You've been at it. So I think you probably have more skin in the game for this movie in terms of its development and success than just somebody who collects Ghostface craziness. So I'm very curious to get your opinion on this as we go into it.
Oh yeah.
And we have somebody new to the panel, to the channel. Craven Something Scary. What a name.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. So I'm guessing you're familiar with Wes Craven's work?
I've seen it. I've seen one or two of his movies.
Okay.
I mean, going back to from Last House on the Left, back in the 70s to now. I've tried to see everything he's ever done, even his TV movies that are much lesser known and harder to find, I might add. And so, yeah, I am a Cravenite, if you will, and that's my guy. So even though Scream 5 obviously he's no longer with us, but this, I'm always going to grandfather the sequels into the lineage. So I'm just as excited for these new movies as I was his, because they're fantastic. So.
Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting take on it. We will explore that.
Cool.
But first, let me introduce Mr. Tony of the Dead, an old friend of the channel. How are you, Tony?
Hello. I'm good.
I'm glad you were able to see it because I know you were worried about not being able to get to see it.
Yeah, I also saw it today for the matinee, and there was like 8 people in the theater total. I was nervous because of COVID and everything, but like the nervous person in me was like 20 feet away.
Yeah.
So I was glad I got to see it. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but I was like, I have to see it. I have to go. So and like a loser, I went alone.
Hey, that's fine. You know what? The first time I saw it, I went alone. It's a ritual for me. I went to the 5 o'clock showing here in LA, which was a Q&A screening. David Arquette was there. His name is really complicated, but one of the directors was there. Matt
Bettinelli-olpin.
There you go. That's him. He was there, and Kevin Williamson was there, and it was moderated by Christopher Landon, which is amazing. So that was pretty neat.
Well, how fun for you.
It was.
We don't got that kind of stuff here in Pennsylvania.
It was pretty fun. But then they ushered them all quickly, and you see all these people with autographs and posters chasing them out the hallway. But anyway, so I always go alone the first time for these movies. Let me say hi to the chat real quick. Nola Ray, a new subscriber, hello to you. I know Nola and I are sort of like minds on this movie, so I'm curious. I'm actually curious what happens at the end of it. If anybody's minds are changed, or honestly, this whole discussion is kind of to help me figure out how I feel about this movie, because I've seen it 3 times and I still don't know where I land with it. And it's tricky. It's tricky for me because I've never had that issue with a Scream movie. We'll discuss. Kresha, hello to you. Bumpy Jonas says, good evening. Let's talk some Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or I mean Scream. I know what you mean by that. It's very funny. Craig says, have you heard Brother Chaos's thoughts on Scream 5? I did. He didn't see it. He was too sleepy. That's 100% the truth. He didn't go because he was tired. So there you go. That's why he's not here. Question for you, Jake. How old are you?
I am 12. You're right. You're 100% right.
There you go. He answered you. I just thought, okay. I love it. Okay. Scream. I think we all sort of have different hot takes. So what we'll do is I'll save mine for the end. Not hot takes, but just opinions on how this works. I'm going to start with Knight. I'll save my piece to the end. Knight, overall impressions of the movie.
Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, when I walked out of the theater, I was happy. You know, I enjoyed it. There were moments where I was on the edge of my seat. There was moments where I was pissed off, but not because of the film being bad, but because of some of the things going on, like obviously Dewey. But there was this part of me that had to just let it. I'm still absorbing it. I saw it on Friday. And I'm still kind of getting my thoughts together, which tells me either one of two things. Either it's really good because it's something that has stuck with me ever since Friday, or I'm just totally whacked out confused. And they could be that. But no, seriously, I thought they did a good job of trying to honor the franchise, honor Wes Craven. I really enjoyed the twins. And I think Jenna did a great job. Melissa did a pretty good job as well, in my opinion. So overall, I think it was a good movie. Where it lands for me in the franchise is what I'm trying to figure out. I think that's more my thing. Where does it land in this franchise? You know.
I think that's a very mature attitude to have, because so many people walked out, amazing, it's almost better than the first one. What the fuck are you talking about? Calm down, bro. Hold on here. It's a movie that I think needs to marinate, and you need to really, you have to give it a couple months. There's still people that are finally coming around to part 4 being really good. So it's just one of those things. Dan, what was your initial impression of the movie?
I'm still trying to absorb, from seeing it, but I thought it was a well-made film. The acting overall was pretty decent, with a few exceptions, but it was a little better than I thought from what I've been hearing. A lot of negativity on it, so it did exceed my expectations a little bit, so that was good. And being in the theater, you're going to have a little bit better experience anyways than at home, and just more of a rush at being at the theater. Kind of overdone on the, I don't want to say jump scares, but almost jump scares, where they had that long sequence, if you know what I'm talking about, where it was like 5 or 6 of them in a row. That was a little much. There was a couple other things that were a little much, but overall, it was an enjoyable experience. Definitely better than 3. So I think it's going in the right direction.
Gotcha. Okay, Jake. I think you speak for yourself. What are your thoughts on this one?
I loved it, man. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think there are definitely some moments, like for sure, that are pretty weak and weird, especially like the whole Billy thing going on. It's one of those. I even talked about it in my review with just about every fault I had with this movie, especially the Billy Loomis thing. It's like, how can I complain about more Skeet Ulrich, man? I mean, the guy's amazing. He's coming back and playing one of the most iconic killers ever in horror movie history. It's like, yeah, it didn't look great, but it was cool. And that's how I feel about a lot of the faults that this movie has. It's like, yeah, sure, there's some minor things that I feel like are problematic with this movie, but I really enjoyed it as someone who wanted to see these changes happen to the Scream franchise for a while. And I knew coming out of the theater, like, this is going to be a polarizing movie. People are going to love it. People are going to hate it. And we even, like you said earlier, like some people walked out of this movie saying it was better than the 96 film. I don't think that, but I think it was good. I think it's probably it's personally my favorite sequel because of the brutality, because of the changes, the deviations in the typical formula. I loved it. I thought it was a really good time, and I can't wait to see if Matt and Tyler get to do the next one.
You know, I hope so. I feel like if they don't, it's kind of a missed opportunity because they've set so much up that it would almost make this movie feel pointless if they don't go down this rabbit hole.
Yes.
So we'll see. And it's funny because you say we'll talk about formula because I feel they stuck too close to the formula.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
We'll piece that apart. Okay, Stephen, what were your initial thoughts? You walked out and you just saw it. What did you feel?
Right. So I've seen it twice. This so everybody knows. I saw it on opening day on Friday, and I saw it again yesterday. So my first thought, I walked out feeling very satisfied because this movie could have gone off the rails, man. I mean, how many times have we seen, and I hate to call out names, but the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, where it's just absolutely off the rails, horrid, in my opinion. Okay, just my opinion. And there's other examples I could give, but it could have been that. And this was not that. And so I was very satisfied. And I also went into this movie never, ever expecting it to be on the level of Scream 96. No movie will reach that level. It is at a level of its own. And anything that follows it is just following in its footsteps. You can't backtrack and undo 96. So I knew that I was not expecting that from this movie. What I was expecting or hoping for was a movie that I felt like it was a Scream movie, but that it had a little bit of a new touch from Radio Silence. But at the same time, especially guys, the first one back, you need to care for the franchise, where it left off, and Wes's brilliance in the previous 4 films. So I felt like it was such a daunting task and a very difficult challenge, honestly, for new filmmakers to do a Scream film. And I felt that they did enough for me that I was satisfied that they did honor the past and the formula, as you just said, Master, in the previous films. But as Jake said also, that they did infuse their personality into it to a degree that it meshed very well, very, very intertwined, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So I'll leave it at that for now. I got more to say, but for now, that's my initial thought, and I was pleased. And I was the second time as well.
Okay, excellent. Well, I hope you have more to say because we're not done. We have a lot. We have a lot to piece apart here. Okay, Tony, what were your initial impressions? You just saw it, right? Like you and Dan just saw it today, right?
Yeah, I saw after the previews and everything. It was like 12:30. So, yep. So I'd say I walked out and I immediately went to the car, and I actually have a review, but I didn't put it up yet. I don't usually do it. Like, I don't go to the movies. I don't usually do it with like newer movies, but I was like, I feel like I have to review this. And my opinion of it was like all over the place. There was things I liked a lot. I liked a lot of the Easter eggs. I liked, obviously seeing the original cast. And I liked that. I will get into it more, but I don't want to go into everything I don't like about it. But I for the most part, I thought it was okay. But there are things that well, like I said, we'll talk about. But yeah, I was glad I got to see it though, and that's all I'm gonna say for now.
Gotcha. It sounds like you walked out of a funeral. Well, I'm glad I got to say hi. Here's okay. So like I said, I was there opening night, and that doesn't make me special or anything. I'm just saying where I come from. And I'm so excited for part 5, but very, very scared. Number one, it's not part 5. It makes sense that they didn't call it part 5 because I know what they're doing. Hollywood, I know what you're trying to do. And it's kind of disturbing me a little bit. But anyway, we'll discuss that. I go in so excited, it's hyped. The entire theater, every poster marquee is scream, 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 scream everywhere. I'm like, holy shit, this is a big deal. I didn't realize that the director and the stars and Kevin Williamson were going to be there. I thought it was just part of this Q&A is going to be digital. I'm like, holy shit, this is like a real fucking deal. And it was all Scream. Everybody had Scream shirts on. I had a fucking Ghostface pants. I had my underwear, had Ghostface on it. You know, I was ready. Watched the movie. I was with it for the first half. I'm like, yeah, this is really good. I really like the pace. I really like the characters. I like the sister dynamic. And then Dewey died. And then I go, hold on a minute. I know what this movie is. And then everything started to piece together. In my review, I titled it, Is Scream 5 the New Force Awakens? I have so many reasons why it is. Number one, you kill off a beloved character. I mean, they almost die the same way. We get Force ghosts, technically, with Billy. And then I'm reminded of this quote. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. And so the movie kind of lost me a little bit towards the end. But what propelled me to enjoying the finale was the performances. I think the cast is really strong, which I think is the saving grace of this movie. It's a very strong cast. We'll get into whether they really feel like friends or diversity hires, which I think it might be an issue as well. But the cast is really strong. It was nice that they had the legacy characters in there, but it didn't feel like ultimately it didn't feel like a Scream movie. So I walk out and I'm empty. I don't know how to feel. I don't know. I really don't know how to process it. I'm sitting there. I watched Critical Overlord's review, Grace Randolph's review, and I'm just trying to figure it out. And I'm still trying to figure it out. Later that night, I went and saw a midnight show to help me process so that I could do my review. And, if you've seen my review, I feel pretty somber. I'm not sure exactly how to, I'm not sure how to express my feelings on it of how I think the movie fits in. So this is what this live is about. This is what I'm going to try and piece it together so we can sort of at least make peace with it, because that's kind of at least what I feel I need to do as a Scream fan. I need to make peace with this new generation if I want to go on this ride. A lot of people won't. A lot of people won't give a shit. But this is now Halloween territory. We're in Halloween territory where the franchise is fractured. Now it's not the story that was intended. Now we're going down a different road. Honestly, it's because Hollywood wants to make money. And I don't know that it's necessarily something that I want to support, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. So let's work through it. Okay, Scream 2022. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of Easter eggs, but let's start. I guess everyone get their initial impressions. So let's do this. Let's talk killers. I love Richie. I'm disappointed that he was a killer because I wanted to see him continue. But he was a good killer and he was fun and he was great. But I feel he was the bright spot of the movie, and then now he's not gonna be back. Amber, I thought was awful. Not a fan of Amber. Her death is amazing though. That's pretty damn cool. That's my feelings on it. I'm not crazy about that, and I'm not crazy about the motives. I don't know how I feel about putting Hollywood making fun of. Well, I don't know how to describe it, because they're saying it's toxic fans that have done it. But then, how do you define a toxic fan? Does this make this movie critic proof? Because then it's like, oh, then you're a toxic fan because you didn't like it, and you didn't get the point. That's not fair, movie. You can't get away with that. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on that whole motive, but I love Richie. Knight, what did you think of the killers? What are your feelings on the motive?
Well, I think Jack Quaid. I think he did a hell of a job. He was really fun the whole way through. I will agree with you the fact that obviously being the killer, then being killed, and it kind of sucks because I would have loved to see him as part of this new nucleus, this new iteration of the franchise. But it is what it is. I will say, when he did that switch, it was very believable. I mean, obviously, he's a good actor, so there was no problem with him. Amber, I think she was uneven, here and there. She did have a really good, kill at the end. I mean, that was just great. I really didn't expect that. I mean, she's put on fire. You got to love that type of stuff. The motive, to be quite honest with you, the motive was all right to me. I think that, and I think, like Jake and Steven and I, we talked about this a little bit. When you have a franchise this old, and it's a horror movie. Let's just start there. It's a horror movie, and there's a simple story going on. Someone is killing people, or multiple people are killing people. At some point, it's just difficult to make the motive fresh, or to make the motive so spectacular or special or whatever. So, the motive was all right, but it didn't really dampen the experience for me at all, because I knew it was going to be something that was some type of shade of previous motives, whether it's revenge or jealousy or this or that, or, whatever. So I didn't have any issue with the motive. But Richie, I absolutely loved him all the way through the movie. I mean, he was, he's on his phone, he's eating pizza, he just had a lot of good charisma. So I really enjoyed him as a character.
Yeah, and he's the only one that really I felt had life. One of the things I love about the Scream movies is that they're so fucking fun. You just pop them in, they're just fun. There's a fun energy. There's just a fun vibe, going through it. This one felt really bleak. It didn't really have that snappy funness to it. And I don't know, maybe I need to rewatch it to get into it a little more, but I think that was missing. But Richie was a big part of that. Okay, Dan, what did you think of the killers?
I think, what was her name? Amber, right? I don't think she was good. I don't know if they wanted her to act the way she did, or if that's a lot of her acting in that role. But it was a little over the top on her part, and a little annoying. But as far as, what's his name? Richie. I already forgot everyone's name. See, I haven't let everything sink in yet. So Richie, I called early on when Ghostface was behind him. It really felt like something from the original. When one of the killers is being attacked in front of someone, I felt that presence. Like, it just came over me that, yep, he's one of the killers. And there's going to be two. Because he's kind of more distant than the other killer, obviously, and never there when things happen, but sometimes is. So you got to have your two. But yeah, she was just... You wanted her to die so badly. You just, as far as the motive, I mean, you got to have something to reinvent this franchise. I don't think it was great. I would have liked the motive to be focused more on, the relationship with Billy, with her being his daughter and everything. That would have played out better, I think, if they would have focused a little more on that being a lot of the motive behind it instead of the fandom. They could have took that into another direction, and that could have been the reason for other people's downfall or something because of her relation to him. Or, it's definitely a part that can be explored more as the franchise goes.
I absolutely believe that they're going to do that, and Skeet will be back whether we want it or not. His ghost will return.
I really thought Stu was going to come back. I really did, and there was kind of rumors of that before this movie came out.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for it. I'm sure everybody felt the same way. Maybe like an after credit scene, or
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want that. I want that. What I like about Scream is that it's realistic. That it's not. I hated in part 3 when she was having dreams of her
But
mom.
going back to what you were saying, though, Stu made it fun.
Yes.
Matthew Lillard is great and brings that comedic aspect that this was really missing.
Yes.
There wasn't much comedy in this one as there was in the original.
No.
So-
This was a pretty dour film. For better or worse. Obviously, different tone, different direction. I get it, but
Again, I like the opening. I like the last act. The middle just kind of was a little iffy here and there. Yes, Dewey's death was really gruesome and really threw me off. But they're gonna end up taking the whole original cast out at some point and just going with a whole new generation. I mean, it's just gonna happen.
right, which I'm not happy about. But we'll get to all that.
We're old, man. We don't want to see it, but the new generation
I know,
can't
but
relate.
You know what? The old movies still exist. They can watch those.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake, what did you think of the killers and the motive?
Well, I hate to just put a poop in this punch bowl, but I'm kind of on the opposite side of the coin, I guess. I don't know. I really liked Amber personally because I thought she was so brutal and over the top. I think sometimes in the past, especially with Mrs. Loomis, maybe she wasn't brutal enough, or why was she Ghostface? Why was she even there? I liked Mickey in Scream 2 a lot, but he just disappears halfway through the movie, which is weird. I appreciated Amber because honestly, I did not know it was her up until the ending. I did guess Richie. I think there was multiple moments where you could have figured out it was Richie, and that was kind of they could have done that better, especially the scene in the basement between Richie and Sam. That at that point, you knew it was between him and Tara's been bedridden the entire movie. So that mystery I don't think was written all that well, but I really appreciated Amber just because of how they wrote her character. I did not get, there was a shock to me when she pulls out the gun in front and shoots Liv in the face. Blew my mind. I was like, wow, that was an awesome twist.
And hers.
Yes, yeah, it blew her mind as well. I think that the motive, I actually really like the motive. I guess I'm in the minority there with that because it's not something that has to do with Sidney Prescott for the first time ever. Oh my God, that was a big complaint of mine about the franchise as a whole so far. It's how many people want to kill Sidney Prescott? I'm starting to get sick of it, I liked Scream 4 a lot and I love Jill as a killer, but her motive is just always, it's man, this feels so repetitive from the last 3 movies. I liked that the killers were trying to do something that had nothing to even do with Sidney Prescott. This is a whole new story and a whole new movie with killers that don't exactly care so much about. They say, it's an honor that I get to maybe kill you, but it's not about you specifically. And that was a massive positive for me because it was such a big deviation from the past films personally. And I also think it's relevant to just movie talk in general nowadays. You brought up Force Awakens earlier, and no matter how you feel about that film, love it, hate it, most people probably hate it, but is a toxic fandom surrounding it that will say that, hey, if you like this film, you're an idiot and all this super negative, toxic stuff. And this movie commented on that, maybe subconsciously, by having certain plot points be similar to The Force Awakens, for example. And I think the reason they did that was because they wanted to relate this film series to not only just to comment on horror movies. This film comments on just movie talk in general across all genres. And I think that's brilliant. The fact that they would comment on something like Star Wars, which doesn't even seem like something that the Scream movies can touch, but I think this movie perfectly comments not only on the toxic fandom surrounding the Star Wars franchise at the moment, but also now with the Scream franchise. We're actually seeing people who went and saw this movie and are being super toxic to each other, whether they liked it or hated it. It's coming from both sides, unfortunately, and it's just it sucks. It sucks that that's the case. But I really like this movie and how it comments. I like that the motive comments on something relevant, and it's also something different from what we've seen in the past.
I like that. Well said. I think you know what? Nathan just joined. Nathan Jones.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, buddy?
How's everyone doing?
Good. Just vibing.
We're doing great,
Nice.
man. We're about 30 minutes in. You didn't miss much. I'll get to you in 1 minute. We're just kind of going through talking about what we thought of the killers and what we thought of the motives. So I'll save you for the tail end, and then I'll get your first impressions as well.
Sick.
Jake, well said. It definitely does. It is timely, and that speaks to the franchise for sure. And I, for me, it's I can accept any goddamn crazy motive, whatever whatever. But again, what I feel they should have done. Well, we'll talk about what they should have done. But I think the motive here reinforces the family angle, which is going to be an issue down the line because then we're going to keep playing the family card, which is just going to keep adding to the ridiculousness of it. Okay, Stephen, what did you think of the killers and motives?
All right. Well, I kind of agree and disagree with everyone so far in some ways or others. So I'll just say it like this. One thing I agree on 100% is that Jack Quaid, he was my most favorite new character of the movie. After I watched it a second time, I already said after the first time how much I loved his character. And you could see his maturity as an actor. I believe that his acting chops, were, in my opinion, more elevated than the others in the new cast. And not that there was other ones weren't good, but I'm just saying I think he was the standout star of everyone new. And I enjoyed every time he was on the screen, he made me smile, or everything he did was well done. I have no complaints about him. And it's interesting too. And I'm just gonna I'll say that for later. Okay. How do I feel about Amber? I'm kind of in the middle on her. Because I'll tell you, here's the reason why. And again, it's not fair to do this. And I opened up my first statement by saying we can't really compare this to one because it's not fair, right? It's really not. And so, but clearly in this movie, in my opinion, Richie was Billy, all right? He was the brains. Amber was, felt like the Stu character because, she found Richie, but Richie seemed to always be in control. Even when they were in the kitchen, he was the one telling Amber what to do. You go over there, you look here. So it really felt to me, I don't know how you guys felt, but I felt like Richie was the alpha and Amber was the subordinate in this situation. And man, I just wish Amber would have brought more. And I think that Dan, maybe you hit on it a minute ago. Stu had such charisma, and he was such a likable character that when he turned the switch and went psycho, it was just like it was a bit unexpected because I never saw it coming. I don't know if you guys did. I was blown away when Stu is standing there with the voice changer in the doorway. I didn't have that experience with Amber because I felt like it was no shock to me. Now the scene shocked me when she shot Liv. Like, oh whoa, I was like out of nowhere. But I wasn't shocked it was her. It was like, okay, all right, that makes sense because she's so her disposition is so just throughout the whole movie. It's like I don't think I ever saw her smile, like just happy. And so, for me, it's hard to relate to her, right? And I guess if she's a psychopath, I mean, maybe she doesn't smile. But I can tell you this, that Stu was my kind of like my model of a way to do it great. And if they were trying to emulate the first movie in a lot of ways, which we know they did, I just wish they would have written her more like, not to be Stu 2.0, but just to have more of that type of charismatic personality a little bit more where you're not so on the nose for being the killer with the way you talk to everybody and just angry, it seems like. So, and because every scene she came in, why'd you do this? Or how'd you leave Tara? Or how, it was very, accusing people all the time. So anyway, that was my feeling on those two. Now, as far as the motive goes, I will say this, I'm okay with the motive. All right. I am, but I found myself waiting for a little bit. I'm like, okay, what's the last twist? There's another twist coming. Where's it at? I'm like, even to the very last second, like where someone's going to pop out as a mastermind, or there's going to be something that connects this to the past. Because Dewey said the motive connects to something in the past. Well, if you think about it, the motive wasn't about her being Billy's daughter. It wasn't. There was a connection because she was his daughter, but that's not the motive. And so Dewey had me on guard for connecting to something in the past, but it didn't. It only connected to stab movies. And then so I was left a little bit wanting. And after I watched it the second time, it really kind of made me feel that more than the first time. Because I'm like, man, where's that connection to the past that I was hoping for? Of course, I was hoping, I know, Master, you're not going to like it. It's okay. I was on the Stu train for the last year and a half. Okay, so if my channel is full of Stu, I can even have this whole Stu video I did on his theory of how he could come back. I won't get there now, but my point is, I wanted that connection to be in part of the motive, and it wasn't. So I wasn't mad about it, but I was a little disappointed. I have to say.
Yeah, I was, for some reason, I expected there to be kind of a Saw level thing. At the end of the Saw movies where the music kicks in, da na na, and then you go, oh shit, and I thought, damn, they're gonna set something up, and we're gonna get a trilogy.
Yeah.
We're gonna go down a road where we're like, holy shit, this is breaking new ground. But that's what I was saying about, like, I feel like they played the same card. The killers felt just 2 killers. That was maybe 3. That would have been cool.
Right.
Or like you were saying, maybe a third, like, final one. Here's what I thought was gonna happen. Obviously spoilers, but Samantha's about to kill Richie. She's got the knife to his throat. He says, "What about my ending?" Or instead of that, he says, "Wait. We didn't kill Vince. There's somebody else out there. We don't know who did that."
Yes.
He leans in and says, "I did it." Boom, bitch.
Oh, whoa.
End
That'd
of
been
movie,
awesome.
right? And then, like, nobody knows. We know. Fuck yeah. Now I'm excited for part 6.
Right.
But but they didn't. They wrapped it all up, and then we sort of have a blank slate again. And now it's up to the writers to come up with, like, well, I guess, does anybody have a second cousin who can go crazy? Let's do that. But anyway, Tony, what did you think of the killers? What did you think of the motive?
Well, let me say, this is the first time that I've ever actually been right about who the killers were. I was right early on, and this is what first off, I don't like her. I didn't like her in this other show that she was in. She was the same character, like this bitch. So and it's the same character in this. And when I saw that, I thought, she's a fucking killer. Like, she just is. I knew it right from the beginning. And I did suspect the twins at first too. Then I thought, no, she's too likable, like a Randy. But then it's like, well, maybe. But anyway, yeah, I was like still bouncing around ideas. But what made me think it was the boyfriend was when he got cut in the arm. It was like Derek in part 2, and they questioned Derek, like, "Well, isn't that convenient? You only got cut in the arm," and he got cut in the arm, and nobody questioned it. And also, when Amber got shot when she was Ghostface, you don't know that's her, but he looked back concerned, like, "Oh shit, are they okay?" And I was like, he has to be the killer. It's like there's no way they're going to make another Derek out of this guy. So I kind of figured it out. Did I like him as a killer? No, because I liked him in the movie. I didn't want him to be the killer. But also, I know I can't get past seeing him from The Boys. Like, I like him in that a lot. So I didn't want him to be a killer. Also, I think they killed off Stu's, what was it, his nephew? And then
No, they lived.
No. Who was the guy with the car? And then he came up and just
Vince.
Stu's nephew.
Yeah, that's Vince. Yep.
Kyle Gallner that plays him, like, he's such a good actor. I think they killed him off way too soon. I don't like Amber. I like what happened to her, and I like the whole they come back again, and then she pops up, and I'm like, really? I don't know. I think she might be dead after that, but whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to think what I'm gonna say when I'm listening to everybody. But after I walked out of there, I actually started thinking, like, they should have did this. I don't really do that. Like, I thought I could write a fan script for this, and I think they should have killed Sydney right in the very beginning, like the opening scene. I also think the girl who was the sister was kind of annoying because she was just pissed off the whole time too. I don't know. One other thing, I did like the hallucinations of Billy, but I think it's just nostalgic. Like, was it needed? Maybe not. But I thought it was, like, really cool to see him come back in the movie. But I really wanted Stu. I was hoping for a third killer as well. I was hoping Stu was going to come out. Is it at the end where they do that? Like, is that, reference to another one? Because, anybody could be Ghostface. Maybe they will set it up where Stu is going to come back. Who knows? But I felt like these were the weakest killers, though. And I actually like Billy's mother more than her.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of acting and presence.
In terms of being the killer. Like, Amber was crazy and everything, but, like, I don't like her. I liked, she didn't really blend into me. Like I said, I picked her right out. And, well, Billy's mother kind of blended in with everything, and you don't know, there's that little twist to her being the mother, but, like, I don't know, it was, it remained hidden more to me. I just also, I think, and now again, everybody knows Dewey, I think he deserved a better death. I think it was cool, it was bloody, but I feel like Deputy Hicks got a better death than him. Like, she got fucking stabbed like 20 fucking times, and it was like, oh shit. But him, they, cut him from groin to sternum, and then a stab in the back again, and he drops over. It's like, at least let's get some guts out. Like, I thought there was going to be guts falling out, and that would have been like a great kill.
Right. Well, I think what I would have loved if because he didn't, if he had gone out a hero, like I'll hold him back, you go, run, and he's holding the killer back. They're gone. He could leave too, but it's the fact that he kind of just got taken out because his phone rang. I don't know. We're always gonna have issues with things like that. But
another thing too, with that I have an issue with the killers, is that in the original one, we said this before, they're playing high schoolers, but they can tell they're not. Well, the one wasn't a high school, and the girl is, like, if she's Ghostface, who the hell couldn't kick her ass? Like, who? And I don't know.
Well, what's funny? She took like what, four fucking slugs to the chest.
Yeah.
Even with a vest, that's gonna take a grown man down.
Yeah.
But she gets right back up and starts cutting people to pieces.
Well, she get right back up though. She knocked into that case and then
she took a little break.
Yeah, she took a little knock.
Yeah. What did you think of the motive? Do you like the fact that it's? Oh, by the way, I have something to say about Stab 8, which I'm not sure it has been addressed yet. But we'll talk about Stab 8 in a minute. What did you feel about the motives, about the toxic fans wanting to take the franchise back?
I didn't really like it that much, to be honest.
Gotcha.
It was kind of hard to follow at first. Like, why? But like, taking the franchise, it's so, I don't know. I didn't like it. I'm just gonna say I didn't like it. I was hoping for the family thing. I'd rather hear the family thing than that.
Right. Well, maybe we'll find out that Billy knocked up a whole bunch of kids, and Stu as well. Non-stop kids.
Who's the mother then that he knocked up?
Well, we haven't met her yet. Her name is Christina, and I assume she better be Hispanic if we see her in part 6. If she says up and she's blonde, something's wrong in the casting department.
Yeah.
We'll figure all that out hopefully when we get casting news for 6, which I'm sure is going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Well, this is nothing like major or anything, but like I listened to like what they're saying, like about how they're making fun of like the Stab movies, and like remember in part 4 they said like part 5 was like time travel or something like that. I think it was. And if you think about it, this is kind of like time travel. They're going back to the original, the whole location, Woodsboro, and all that. So it's almost like not that they set it up for this, but it's kind of like a reference in a way. Again, I like the little Easter eggs. I like that they showed the ashes for Tatum. Finally, I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, little stuff like that I enjoyed. I'm sure I didn't see every Easter egg, but like even the Dawson's Creek on TV was, it's like it's funny. But at least there was no Jay and Silent Bob in this one.
You know what? I will say I have that on my notes. We'll talk about that Dawson's Creek, because I feel like it absolutely destroys the canon of the movies. It implodes itself at this point.
There's your canon.
There it is. There it is. As a writer, canon is important. What's established is established. If you rewrite it, you're screwing with the formula, and I do not like that. I'm very not a fan of that. Okay, Nathan Jones, welcome to the party. First off, give us your initial impressions of the movie, and then, did you like the killers? Did you like the motives?
Sure. Yeah. So it's been a hot second since I've seen most of the Scream films. I rewatched the first one last year, and I think I saw 4 maybe a couple years ago again. But it's been a while since I've seen 2 and 3. I would say 1 and 4 are my favorites of the franchise, personally. But with this one, it kind of reminded me of 4 in a way, because it's like, so many years have actually passed. So what are you gonna do with what, like, all these things of these rules, and like how are they going to reinvent this? And based on what we've already been talking about, I've already been here. It's something that, like, I had to think about a little bit as well. It's like, well, some of this is sloppy, some of it was a lot of fun, but, like, it's supposed to be campy, it's supposed to be meta, it's supposed to be reference based. But some of the things actually did make me laugh out loud in the theater. Some references that I didn't expect. But overall, I enjoyed the film. I had a good time. I watched it in theaters with some friends. And so I think that's what made it better for me, is watching it with some friends in the theater. If I saw this on my own, I probably would have said it was pretty good. But, I expected it to be pretty decent. So, and that's kind of overall what I thought of the film, I suppose. I don't know if I went too much in depth with that, but yeah.
No, that's fine. What did you think of the final killer reveals and their motives?
I definitely saw Richie coming. That one I feel like maybe was the most obvious one, where Amber, like we were saying earlier, was like, that gunshot, like just of that snap. I was like, I didn't expect that particular moment. I knew there was going to be 2 or maybe 3 killers. That would have been a very interesting move to see 3 killers there. But I definitely was expecting, Richie, based on just all the mannerisms and things coming up, I guess just throughout the film, just those slight nods, getting slashed in the arm, etc. Those are the things that I think were easy to pick up on, at least for me. But overall, I think the motives were interesting, and I think you were kind of getting at this, Jose, with the like taking back the franchise kind of thing, where it definitely referential to like Rian Johnson, of course, and things along those lines. Whereas, like, I immediately like caught that when that happened. I was like, okay, this is what's going on. And then thinking more about, like, maybe the Twitter, like, or social media in general, and kind of tying that kind of fan based stuff to the killers in a way. So, I might say that I wouldn't necessarily, like, someone said recently that, like, they may be the weakest killers, or, like, some of the weaker ones that, what is really their motive? Like, how much do you really care about their connection to, and they're not family necessarily, right? But they're trying to get recognition, trying to get back to the original. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. So I don't know. It is kind of where it's like, you have to start getting, I don't know what the next step would be for a 6th film. I mean, I probably missed some of the conversation, but did anyone talk a little bit about kind of like, it's like, oh, well, do you think the 6th one's going to be the last film, if there's going to be a final film? Because I feel like Jose was saying, they kind of did wrap this thing up quite nicely, where it's like, it doesn't really show anything as a sequel. Obviously, things could happen, and we could see a second cousin or whatever it could be. But I don't know. What do you all think?
We haven't discussed sequel possibilities yet, but you better be damn sure Paramount wants sequels.
Of course, money.
There's so much. I mean, you go back to the original Scream. There's so many things that just barely touch on Maureen Prescott or Cotton Weary in one shot that they milk for the rest of the movie. So there's a lot in here that they can absolutely dig into for a sequel. It's at this point, the movie's not going to tank. It's doing fairly well, even during the pandemic. So congratulations to the team behind the movie for that. It's almost inevitable that we'll get a part 6. Whether it goes beyond that, I don't know. And that brings me to the next topic of discussion. Now, I did sort of briefly want to talk on our favorite characters, but I feel everyone kind of will have the same favorite characters. I might be mistaken. Well, let's just briefly touch on that, because I think these are characters we're going to be with, I think, at least until the next movie. I thought Tara was great. I think it was a great opening sequence. She's probably one of the best actresses in the entire franchise. I think she's solid as hell, man. And I'm very picky on actors, and I think she gives a genuine performance. She actually tears up when she cries, which is something that Nev Campbell can't do easily. And I pay attention to that kind of stuff. She's great. Not a massive fan of Melissa Barrera. I think Sam is okay, but I don't know. She doesn't have that spark for me. Absolutely, everyone loved Mindy. I think I can imagine everyone's a Mindy fan. So I'll say those are probably my two favorite characters going into a part 6. Raise your hand if you want to chime in on your favorite characters. If you don't have anything to say, then we'll move on. Okay, Knight.
I just want to, this doesn't answer your question, but kind of does. I just want to say that David Arquette killed it in this movie. And I don't mean to have a pun with that. I was pissed off when he got killed. I mean, I love him as a character anyways in the franchise, and this is hard to even imagine, but I loved him even more, in this movie. Like, just the range that he had. He was, to me anyways, easily the standout of the OG3, and so I just wanted to say I really loved his character, but I agree with you about Mindy and Jenna Ortega and obviously Jack Quaid. So
yeah, I mean, definitely him, but he's dead, so fuck him. He's not coming back. But no, he's great. He's absolutely great in this. And Dewey, you bring up a good point with Dewey. Honestly, it's so depressing that him and Gail didn't end up happily ever after, and that he lives in a trailer and he's a fucking drunk. Right. That's such a fucking bummer that I don't want that to be the end of his story, man. That's so sad to me. I would rather, in my mind, the movies end at 4 and they live happily ever after, kind of thing. I don't know, but that's in my head canon. And does anybody want to chime in with their favorite character?
I'll say one thing. I think it's interesting that they kept the twins alive, Tara and Sam. Meaning, like, I think they knew going into this movie that all 4 of those characters would be fan favorites, which is, once again, sequel potential. Like, if you're going to make another movie, you're going to keep your best characters from the first one moving forward. And then also, as something Steven pointed out to me on another live stream, was that the last shot of the movie is Ghostface opening up the knife, getting ready to get going again for Scream 6. So I think that's definitely an indicator that these guys want to make another film, and they saved their best characters for a potential sequel as well. So
yes. Tony.
I was gonna say I agree with Nola Ray. I feel like I didn't care much about the cast like I have in like part 4. There were ones I liked. I especially liked the twins. I was glad to see that both of them survived. But I was also kind of hoping, in a way, that they were the killers, because that would have been neat. Like Randy's niece and nephew, and they ended up this time instead it's not Randy, it's his nephews. I would say probably I can't remember names, but the girl twin,
Mindy.
Right, Mindy. I
think she was probably my favorite one in the whole cast, to be honest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, she definitely had the most life, I think, of the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Like feeling like, oh, she's really into it. But
I want to say too, I don't think Tara Jenna Ortega is a bad actress, because I've seen her in like other shows and that. Like, I think she was on You and stuff like that, and I think she's a great actress. I just don't care for her in this movie. Yes, she cried, and she was, she did a great job with that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I just didn't like her character. I think it was because she cried too much. Like, but the opening scene was really cool. Like the fucking stepping on her leg, and then the hand through the knife through the hand. Like I was like, oh, that's something you don't really see in these movies. That was cool. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Gotcha. And Nathan.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on. I think of the original three, like David Arquette definitely stood in my mind, and also to get back to the trailer thing. I just immediately when I saw that I was like, oh, this is Ash vs. Evil Dead. This is where we're this is they're maybe paying a little homage to that. Just some wannabe guy there. I don't know, probably not. But also I did enjoy Amber a little bit. I know she's a little bit on the fence for a lot of people, but I feel like I realized that she also played Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and both were involving fire. I don't know if they both got burned or something. That was pretty interesting. It's like maybe she could do that, throughout her career.
Yeah. Burn face girl. It's gonna be on her resume. Go ahead, Steven.
Yeah, appreciate it. I just wanted to mention since we're talking about cast, right? I think there was a huge missed opportunity with Judy Hicks, because here's a character that has connections to 96, man. She was in high school with Stu and Billy and Sydney, and this amazing history of 25 years. She's the only character that dates back to the original story that's in this movie outside the OG3. And they just killed her. And I have to say, and maybe I'm backtracking too much, but I was disappointed because the first thing I wanted to see was Stu Macher be revealed as the mastermind at the end. That didn't happen. I knew it was a long shot, but I'm still holding on hope that it'll happen in the future. But I said, if that doesn't happen, I want Judy Hicks to be the one who's the mastermind. She's the sheriff. She's got access to all the databases she needs to know people's history, their lineages, everything else. And I said it from day one, if they don't use her in some way as being involved, it's a missed opportunity. And I just felt that with Judy Hicks, when I saw her get killed, I'm like, God dang it. I thought that was a big missed opportunity. And so I'm probably putting this in the wrong spot here, chaos, but we're talking about cast. So I'm like, Judy Hicks, we haven't really touched on her much. So I thought that was a missed opportunity that happened, unfortunately. And I have something else I want to say, is what if, because of Sam's mental illness, right, that she's having hallucinations and nightmares, and she's has her pill bottle with her. They make a point for us to see her taking these pills quite often. And so what if, I'm going to throw a crazy idea out there. I may be getting ahead, but what if they're setting us up for Tara to be the actual final girl, and in 6, Sam, because dude, she went into savage mode on Richie, and I said she would be an amazing serial killer. That was incredible. And I'm like, what if she got a taste of it? I don't know. This is way out there, but what if we see in 6 she flips, she can't stop, and Tara's the one that they actually are bringing us forward to be the final girl. I don't know. I just had to throw it out there.
Maybe she's actually the third killer, and she doesn't remember because she's crazy.
Ooh.
Right.
That's good.
I would love that. I welcome it. Yeah, Judy was great. I agree. I feel they should have done something more with Judy, or Judy dies and then Dewey's like, well, who's sheriff now? Hey, Dewey, do you want to step in? Hell yeah! He takes his badge back.
Yes.
That would be great. But again, referencing Force Awakens, Last Jedi, we get Dewey is Han Solo. He's a broken down old man who's gone back to just being grizzled and rough and kind of disheveled, and he's on his own. He's divorced from Princess Leia. They have a scene very reminiscent to Gale and Dewey having a scene. Oh, you haven't called, you didn't talk to me, blah blah blah. Oh, time's passed. I mean, there's so many references. It's almost like they watched that movie and took notes. It's kind of insane. But anyway, let's talk about Easter eggs, because there's a lot that happens in this movie that I think is good, but also bad. Again, I'm a writer, so I'm a big fan of canon, and I don't want things to, like Time Cop, stuff in the same matter can't exist in the same universe, or, the world's over. So for me, I have issues with a lot of weird canon breaking things, like Tara is watching Dawson's Creek in her hospital room. And this picture, well, not this picture, but this episode pops up. Now, if you look closely, this is an episode from Dawson's Creek that features Joshua Jackson and Scott Foley. Scott Foley is Roman. So what? What happened? Not only that, Joshua Jackson is a student
Right.
in college. So what? I feel like that, and I I'm sure they knew that. I'm sure they thought this out. I'm guessing it was a wink to the audience, but at the same time, I feel it also is damaging canon-wise, and that probably doesn't bother anybody else but me. But it's kind of a weird tripping up thing for me, and I don't know why they did that. Am I the only one worried about that? Does anyone have any issues with the fact that they've destroyed it, Jake?
So I'll say this: there's a few things throughout the movie, including that, like the question at the very beginning of the movie that Ghostface asks Tara about Sidney Prescott being in the movies. That's wrong. If you sync it up with the other movies, he says specifically that Sidney Prescott is in all of them except the last one. Even though I believe there's a throwaway line in either Scream, I think it's Scream 4, where they say that after Scream 3 or after Stab 3, I mean, Sidney Prescott sued and she's no longer a character in any of those. So there's like little inconsistencies throughout the film. That's not even, we just scratched the surface, unfortunately. But that doesn't bother me too much, especially because of how much of a new direction this film is. It's not supposed to exactly be a continuation of the story, while at the same time it kind of is. I think it is much more focused on the fact that it's a fresh new take on the franchise more than anything. So I guess it doesn't bug me as much, but I can see it bugging everybody else.
Yeah, it's when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, hold on, movie, you can't do that. That's not allowed. But then again, the first movie fucking did it too, in a way, because one of Billy's first lines is, "I just saw The Exorcist," and who's a reporter? Linda Blair. So I guess, if I allow that, I guess I have to allow that Roman is an actor on TV.
Well, but one thing, Chaos, that's different though is that Linda Blair wasn't in a Scream movie.
True.
So this,
That's true.
when you're putting Roman Bridger in a Scream movie, I think you're crossing some different waters there. Yeah.
I agree. I'm just trying to make peace with it, man. I'm just trying to get through this. I'm just trying to make whatever, man. It's cool. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me.
I just took it as a little nod. That's all. Like,
okay.
Oh,
That's
see,
how
I don't know.
took
I
it,
never
too.
saw Dawson's Creek, so I just know Nev Campbell was on it, right?
No.
Wasn't
No,
she on Dawson's Creek?
She was on
Oh
Party of Five.
no, that's Party of 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta edit that for my review then. I never watched that either. I just knew she was on it. But
That's all right. That's all right. You weren't as cool as everyone else in the 90s. That's cool, man.
No.
I
I was cooler.
Knight, you said that you were okay with it?
Yeah, I was okay. I was okay with it because I think at the end of the day, they realized that this movie is like a convergence point. You've got all of us that were watching the original and watching the early, 2 and 3, and you had newer people coming to 4, and now you've got another group of people coming to this one. So I think it was just a little bit of a nod just to be, maybe playing even more on the whole meta thing, or maybe playing on the fact that there would be some fans that would catch that, and then some fans that would just be like, oh, wow, Dawson's Creek, So I didn't have any issue with it. I really didn't.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. One good Easter egg though we can talk about, we can all share our feelings on this, is Kirby's alive. Kirby survived, baby. Very happy to see that. I missed it the first time. It wasn't until the second time that I noticed it. So I'm very happy to see that. Does anybody have any thoughts to share on Kirby's survival and hopefully eventual return, which I'm sure she'll be back now. I'm pretty sure they'll push for her to be in 6. Anybody have any thoughts on Kirby? Feel free to hop in. Jake.
Yeah, I would love to see Kirby in a new movie, man. I mean, she's a standout character from 4, and like as much as I would love to see like Jill in a new movie again, fight me, I like her. That's obviously not going to happen. So to have Kirby in a new film, I think would be great, especially to interact with these new characters. Like we have Mindy and Chad. What would conversation between them and Kirby be like? Because she's like a big horror nut too. So I think that could make for some really interesting scenes and some dialogue, especially. I think it would be fun to have Kirby back. And I wonder what she's been doing for the past 10 years too, because we saw like that was a video where she's like being interviewed about the Woodsboro murders of like 2011. And if you remember from at the end of Scream 4, like Jill, they kind of don't ever explain that, especially in this film, with like they're still reporting that she's the hero of the murders and stuff. What happened there? Like I would love to learn a little more about that, especially from Kirby, to learn about like a little bit what happened for the aftermath of Scream 4. I think that would be a fun little bit to throw in there.
Right. I hope so. I hope that happens. At this point, they have to. They have to at least have her. You have to bring in some more legacy characters. And let's talk about legacy characters. I think that's my next question to the group. Here's the thing. As not just as an old school fan, but as a fan, as a creator, if you give me 4 installments of a saga and they're following these people, and it's why am I fucking referencing Star Wars so much? It's not even something I give a shit about, but it just feels like Star Wars to me. Like Star Wars, you have rich stories, you have generational stories, you have different things happening. You can do that. This is very limited. I mean, Ghostface is a new killer every time. It's not Michael Myers, so he can't go after different people, but it's the same guy. So you have to be tied into the backstory. You have to be tied into Sidney Prescott, Billy Loomis, Stu Macher. You have to, or else you're not really doing Scream. You're doing the TV show. And at times the movie felt like the TV show to me, with them showing up for an episode cameo here and there. But how do we feel about going forward without the legacy characters? Knight, I'll start with you.
Ooh, well, we know that it has to happen at some point, right? I think that the way this movie went, it could happen that way. You could have Sydney kind of, go off. She's got her family, and maybe make a cameo, here or there, in a movie or two. And Gail, you don't really need Gail in the movie. I mean, she's a great character. I love Courtney Cox, but you don't really need her. And now that Dewey's gone, I'm kind of, I'm kind of off that train with her in a way, That's why I would have thought it would have been. I know I keep talking about Dewey. I'm sorry, but that's why I thought it would have been better if Gail died instead of Dewey, because if Dewey had lived, first of all, you've got this character, especially how he was portrayed in this movie, that really was changed dramatically, and David killed it. But anyways, but I'm okay with the OG, the legacy characters not being a part of it from here on out because of the way that this movie went and the way that it ended. Whether or not it turns out great, if that's the route that they're going to take, that remains to be seen. But I am excited about the possibility of them, the twins being alive, the sisters. I enjoyed their dynamic together. And also, if you have Kirby, like Jake was saying, if you bring Kirby back, that could be great, because you could really lean into a lot of unknown territory after the killings in 4. You really could do some cool stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's honestly, to me, there's no Scream without the legacy characters. I feel like we've seen it happen time and time again. I mean, Halloween 4 and 5 is my God, I'm blanking on the name now. Jamie Lloyd's story, and there's a lot of fans who hate that. And what happened? They abandoned that. They killed it off in 6 in the beginning, and then they decided, let's do something else quick. And then what did they do? They brought Jamie Lee Curtis back. So I feel. I feel if you go too far, especially with something that's so tied in to the fucking DNA of the series, it's hard. I think people are okay with it going, but when it's gone, they're gonna realize it's integral. Dan, what do you think? Now that we've lost Dewey, are you okay with Gail and Sydney just taking a vacation for part 6?
I pretty much agree with Night Watch on the fact that they could have got rid of Gale, and I'd been fine with that and keep Dewey. I really felt he was coming more into his own towards the scene where he's like reloading and everything. Had that kind of like Clint Eastwood feel to him or something, just that grit to him now. He's just kind of over all the bullshit and everything, and just I thought he was going to become a real badass in this one, and then gets killed off. You know, it's kind of. I think he could have done more in the sequels after this as well. You know, just becoming that character that's just not putting up with any shit anymore. And Gail's just there. I mean, she's done stuff in the other films as well. You know, saved some people and stepped up here and there, but you don't really feel for her like you do with Dewey.
No, I do the heart.
Yeah, I teared up a little bit when they killed Dewey off. You know, I probably wouldn't have with Gale. You know,
yeah,
it would have been like, oh, that's sad. But then you would have watched Dewey break down probably, and then you would have felt, go through that whole. He's already kind of at his bottom, so that would have took him even further. Sydney, I don't feel really did a whole lot. Just kind of there, but. Yeah, to have her pop up in the sequels here and there, I'd be okay with that. I don't think she needs to be a main character ever again. It's just, like I said before, it's time to take it into another direction. And you will have, as you have all said already, you will have your ties in with the original cast, but it doesn't need to revolve directly around them. You can even... Woodsboro is like a small town, so everyone's going to be related to someone. Somewhere along the line, you're going to run into someone's nephew, cousin, something. You can always incorporate that into sequels. Here's Cotton Weary's relative. Here's, whoever, Roman's relative. It doesn't matter. Someone can pop up whenever.
Yeah, Tony, I'll get to you. We'll unless you have to leave. Do you have to leave? Okay, we'll work our way down there. Jake, I'm pretty sure you're in the get him out of here, give me fresh blood camp.
Okay, but I would like to defend something of yours, a point of yours, actually. So, here's the thing. I think if we went if we were still waiting for Scream 5 right now, and we had heard that the legacy characters were not going to be in this film, I would be pretty upset, and I would be like, what the hell? Like, why are we not bringing these 3 characters back yet? Like, what is going on with this? But I think this movie perfectly sets up a new storyline of characters, like with our new characters, if that makes sense. Because what happens with Sidney Prescott in this movie, for example, yeah, she's not exactly super integral to the plot, but she still is pretty badass. And I think the reason they did that is because the Sidney story, in my opinion, has been over since the 3rd film. They tried to start like a whole new story for her specifically in 4, and that's one of the things I don't like about 4. I kind of wish they would have just deviated away from everyone trying to kill Sidney Prescott. I think it's getting a little ridiculous at that point. And this film was the first movie not to do that. And I appreciated that. We still had Sidney being a badass, going after the killer, and doing all that jazz, which I loved, which is something I think a lot of people appreciated about the film. But she wasn't the main focus, which I think was a good change of pace. Gale Weathers, on the other hand, when she comes into town and she talks to Dewey for the first time, there's a line where she says, "You just couldn't leave Woodsboro." And I think that's why they specifically had to kill Dewey out of the main 3 to set up this new storyline that they want to tell in future films. Because if Dewey stays alive and they kill Gale, yeah, I agree. I think I like Dewey more as a character. Trust me, I don't want this to sound like I don't like Dewey or nothing. I love him. He's a great character. And it's just like his arc through all 5 films. Oh, made me want to cry when he died. But I think it's the only way that they can set up a certain plot line that they want to do in the future. If Dewey's still in Woodsboro, he's still going to want to help out with future Ghostface killings. But now that he's not there, Gale Weathers is off in New York doing her own thing. Sidney Prescott's no longer in Woodsboro. Now we have characters who are on their own, who will not have legacy characters to help them defend against Ghostface. That's going to be an interesting story, and I'm excited to see that. I also feel like this movie kind of proves a point about, can we make another Scream film without legacy cast characters? And I think there's a lot of this movie, like, we don't even get introduced to Dewey until 25 minutes in. And it's good. In my opinion, I think it's good up until then. So I think that this movie proves a big point that yes, we can make Scream movies without the legacy cast characters. I'm sure you disagree. I'm sure some people disagree, but I really enjoyed the first 25 minutes of this movie, and I enjoyed a lot of the scenes where it was just the new characters. They can do that. And if they can continue to do that in a new film and introduce characters that are actually likable and is as fun as like some of the characters from like the original Scream, they can do that in the future. But once again, it's all going to come back to, are they going to write good characters for the next movie as like they did with this one? Because if they don't, it's going to suck for sure. Like I 100% agree. If they give us new characters that are like the TV show and they're just kind of bland, stale archetypes, yeah, I'm not going to be into that. That's going to suck. So it's definitely going to be a chore for the writers.
And it has to feel organic. It can't feel like, I mean, it's an obvious cash grab because it's the story's done. We're done. But what we're doing here is trying to make more money. So as long as it doesn't feel like a cash grab, then I think, I don't know, maybe I'd have to watch the movie to decide. But for the most part, I think you're on the right track there, Jake. All right, Steven, what do you think? Are you okay with well, now it's not a trilogy anymore, but our remaining characters coming back for part 6?
Yeah, I have no problem with it, man, at all. Because, it's funny. I think it's interesting, too. I don't know all of our ages here, but I think that Jacob may be the youngest of the group. I think that's probably a fair guess. He's 12.
Yeah.
So, right? And I think it also reflects a lot of, I think, how the younger generation now who has not grown up with these movies like we have. Like Chaos, you were there opening night. I saw Scream 1 in January of '97 in the theater. And I remember walking out of the parking lot with my mind half blown on the ground after what I'd just seen of how amazing that movie was. And so for 25 years I've lived with these movies, not just rented them and looked and watched them. So there's a difference there. So I think the newer generation, and it's late, crazy as that sounds, but that's the way I'm going to say it. The younger guys, the people that are more in Jake's age range, I think this is going to be more commonly their attitude towards it. Not that it's bad or good. I'm just saying I think that's going to be a common feeling. And I think my opinion is the more you get with some of the more legacy fans, I mean, that is the original in the theater fans like we are, I think we're much more in that camp of we don't want to let go of those characters that have meant so much to us, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many hundreds of times these movies have been watched in my life in 25 years. And so, yeah, like when Dewey dies, I mean, like Dan, you said it earlier, I believe, when I don't care. Tears were streaming down my face. I will tell you that right now on the live stream. I'm not ashamed of that because that was someone who meant a lot to me in as a character, right? And so, yeah, it was a very emotional moment. And because you know what it was? It was when I saw Nev and Courtney embrace each other afterwards in the lobby. It's like it was such a heavy moment. It was somber and heavy, and it hit me that I know I'm going off topic now, but it just it just hit me though, like he's never going to be in another Scream movie. Like this is it. There's never. I can never look forward to seeing Dewey again. Like that feeling's gone. Yeah. And so, do I want to have that same feeling in 6? No, and no, sure, maybe it's because it's the fan in me that doesn't want to let go. But if Gail doesn't show up, like you guys said, it won't hurt my feelings. I love Gail. I have no problems with Gail. She's had some great moments. But Sydney, gosh, she's Scream. She is Scream, dude.
Yeah.
Sydney that's what Scream is. It's Sydney. Now, I know no one lives forever, and I get all that. And so they bring in Sam. But, man, Sam she's not ready to take the mantle yet, man. She's just, she did some good stuff. And I'm excited to see what they do for her next. But I hope that Sydney is still a part of this. Even if they bring Kirby back, I don't want that to be like, okay, we're going to get rid of the OG2. We'll keep Kirby in as fan service. I love Kirby, but not at the expense of Sydney being gone, And so, we could have discussions about, well, how do you make that work? Because eventually you have to get rid of her and all that. But look, there are good writers that can make a good story. I'm convinced of that. And so I hope that I hope this wasn't the last of it, but I have to say one last thing. When they were in the ambulance and Gail and Sydney were sitting there together and Gail had that touching comment that kind of got me again in the heartstrings when she's like, I know what I'm going to write about. I'm going to write about a sheriff from a small town Man, that gets me now. Even I know I'm just remembering it. And did you feel the way I did though? It almost felt unspokenly like that was the end. The first time I watched it, it was like, oh, they're finished. That was it. That's their last. Like they're wrapping them up here in the story. And when I watched it a second time, I didn't quite feel that way though. The second time, I said, "Oh, no, it's not necessarily closed because no one said goodbye. No one said, that kind of stuff." So
Yeah.
I think they left the door open. Is what I'm getting at. I do think the door is still there, and I hope they go through it.
Yeah, the door's still open, and here's the thing. I think they killed off the wrong legacy character. I agree. Gail should have been the one to
Yes.
go. She was
Yep.
the last one to sign on, and she's had a lot of plastic surgery, and she looks, I'm not going to come, I don't want to go down that road, but she should have been the one to go because she's the one that I think she cares the least about the franchise. David Arquette. He loves.
Yeah.
He would have done them for free. He would have been in the Ghostface in space. He would have been there. Ghostface versus Leprechaun.
Yes.
He would have been in that movie. He would have done them all for nothing. He loves it so much. He was the only actor at that Q&A. He loves it so much.
Yeah. And do you notice also, Chaos, when he does interviews, how he lights up?
Yes.
How much he's like, oh, I just love being Dewey. He's like smiling. He's gleaming.
Yeah,
and
man.
It's such joy. You can see joy in him when he talks about Dewey.
And he's not happy that he died either. The Q&A, he said, they asked him, when you read that, what happened, and I'm paraphrasing because he kind of like mumbles, but he's like, I didn't like it. Like basically, he's not happy that he's gone.
Yeah.
And now they have to pay big prices for Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox. And I'll tell you what, predict it right now. Part 6 starts with Gail dying. That's what kicks it off. She's the opening kill because you have to have her in there. Hey, let's have her get killed off. But I think Neve, they're gonna try and hang on to her for as long as possible. We'll see. Okay, Tony, what do you think? Legacy characters, in or out?
I don't know. The more I'm like thinking about it, I don't know. I could see having them in, but I could see not having them in. It worked for the TV show. I think the TV show was really good.
Okay.
But again, I like seeing them in there. I like to they're there. Neve does her thing. Sydney does her thing. Gail does her thing, but they're not like main characters. It's not like we were saying. It's not really all about her anymore. But I don't feel like this was the cast of characters to pass the torch on to. If anything, it could have been the part 4, something like that. I don't know. I also like that line where she said, "Enjoy that torch." Yeah, I mean, I was upset when Dewey got killed. I honestly would have rather Gail as well. I don't think you need to kill them off. Just maybe have them, like I read comments here, like saying, maybe Gail won't be in another one, but they'll see her they'll watch her on TV, and that's how she's in it. Something like that. That way they can bring her back another time. Will it make people not want to come see it? I don't know. Maybe the old schoolers will be like, I don't know if I want to see that, but maybe the newer ones will be like, well, I'm more into Scream 5, and I don't really know the originals. Who knows? Hopefully, this movie brought some attention to the originals. Everybody wants to see, new fans, new generation. Who knows?
Right.
No, Lindsay, that cast did not suck. Sorry, Irene.
Lindsay, you're entitled to your opinion, but
yeah, if I would have said part 3, if I would have said pass it on to cast part 3, I'd be a little crazy. But I don't know.
Right. Okay. All right. I guess it remains to be seen. But I think you and Steven sort of touched on the new guys, the new generation will probably just sort of accept the new cast. And I think You know, obviously the extended shower scene with Wes wasn't for us. You know, like, why is this so long? Why? Well, it looks like Nathan was having a good time with it, but I'm like, why? Okay, I guess it's a psycho, but like, this dude's been washing his nipples quite a bit. But
He's got clean.
I enjoyed the nipple washing.
okay, there you go. See, well, there you go. Speaks to the young generation then.
Your theory has been proven correct.
Yeah.
Like it was said earlier, though, like with those jump scares, I thought it was kind of funny at first, but there was too many. Like, oh, he's going to show up behind the refrigerator, and then it's not, you know. But he did have a cool death. I was surprised, but I was like, oh, don't kill him. Like, he seems like he could have been more toward the end. That girl, though, that got shot in the head, again, terrible names. I think she was the biggest waste of a person in this. If you're going to have her be so oblivious and in the background, actually make her a killer. That would have, like, the way she explained it, like, who knows, I'm like that person that's nobody cares about, you know, so, you know, make it like not so obvious. But like, I think she was like such a waste, or at least, you know, show her tits or something.
Yeah, I feel Vince was kind of a waste. I feel that character was super thrown away. But
yeah.
You know, I was like, it was like, wait, who was that guy? Why did that guy get killed? It was kind of weird. But yeah, it is what it is. Nathan, what do you think? Legacy characters or continue on with the new gang?
I mean, I guess to echo a lot of what I've already heard, I do. I mean, obviously, if time passes, it's what, you know, 96 is when the first one came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's been a bit since that time. Unfortunately, is we don't like to hear that. But you know, I think it's kind of necessary. And I actually was thinking about well, how would I feel like the next movie should be the last, but that's just me. But I mean, I don't know what other people feel about it, but I would. I know, Jose, you were saying something about Gail getting killed off at the very beginning. I honestly think killing off Sydney at the very beginning would be get everyone back. I mean, talking about legacy characters, you know, getting. Why am I blanking on her name? Hayden, what's her name?
Kirby.
Kirby, yeah. Getting Kirby back and getting various characters from the different films. But you know, keeping that you know, young cast we just got from 5, you know, like the twins and stuff, and getting them back together, and then trying to figure out why they are all coming back together in Woodsboro. But in my eyes, I was like, let's do Halloween 3 and just make this a cult and have multiple killers. But I don't know. That might be a little too crazy. But
well, that was the plan for the original Scream 3. Was supposed to be Stu was supposed to lead a cult of ghost faces, but they didn't go that route. They decided to do something else.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, you know, it's interesting because you know, that conversation of having 3 ghost faces, a lot of us had that expectation coming into this one possibly. It's very interesting to see there's always the 2 kind of rule. Sometimes, you know, I don't know, it'd be interesting to kind of see, is there too many, or is there could there just be the 1? I mean, I don't know what the next step would look like with this one. Whereas, you know, I guess, you know, I don't know. Well, I would like to hear other people's thoughts on it, but I think legacy characters are kind of necessary to pass the torch, as everyone's been kind of saying. And even if they just make, you know, a passing, you know, reference to them on TV or whatever, I think that's still good enough, I think, for what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I blanked out for a minute. I was going to reference something you said, and I'm blanking. Sorry. I'm trying to do 3 things at once here. Real quick, if you're watching, do slap a thumbs up on this video if you're having a good time. Of course, if hopefully you are. If you're new here, do consider subscribing. That means you and I get to hang out, and sometimes my friends come and hang out as well. If you like movie discussions, this is the most eclectic movie channel on YouTube. I cover everything, not just. I mean, I lots of crazy crap, but usually you'll find something very unique on here that you will enjoy. So hopefully you'll join me. Okay, so we've touched on legacy characters. We've touched on our initial feelings on the movie. I think the killers and all that stuff. I do want to talk about Stab real quick. One thing that kind of shocked me was Stab 8 is not based on Jill. That feels like a missed opportunity, you know, especially because Richie was saying this whole thing about the best ones are based on the true stories and things like that. So I feel perfect. Well, that's fresh material. Now, Jake does bring up a good point. For it is mentioned that Sydney sued them and she couldn't be a part of it. So maybe that's why. But I don't know. Art imitates life. I have a feeling Scream 6 we're gonna get flamethrower Chrome face.
Oh,
You know, it's
no.
you know, I don't know, man. If this is the Force Awakens, you know what comes next? I don't know. I hope not.
Stop.
I hope not, man. I hope not.
A buff ghost face with his flamethrower, and like, oh my god,
Amber will return, burnt face and all.
burnt face.
You know, you never know. You never know. Look, there's a lot we can nitpick with the movie. Like, why? Okay, if Amber lives in Stu's house, why isn't it a garage? Why is it a basement? There's no basements in California. I know. I live here. There's no basements. Why isn't it a garage? It's very weird. There's a lot of these weird choices made. But there's nitpicks with everything. You can nitpick everything to death. But something I have fun with is hearing other people's nitpicks. So now is the time when you get to air your nitpicks. If anybody has any specific nitpicks that come to mind, raise your hand.
I want to complain about this fucking chat. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, everyone. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Tony loves you. Does anybody have any specific nitpicks they'd like to? Okay, Knight.
All right, and this will probably be my last comment, but you know, I think, and I think Stephen, I think you mentioned it too. There was that part of me that was thinking that there was going to be something added on to the finale. You know what I'm saying? It almost seemed like, and of course, you know, when you're a fan and you're a fan of a franchise for a long time, you have your own types of thoughts to go into it. And especially, you know, all of us, you know, talking about movies. I mean, that's what we do. But it almost seemed like they were building up something else. You know what I'm saying? That coupled with the fact of, I also agree. I think Judy, I think there could have been some interesting stuff there. She could have still been killed, but they could have had something that would have been really interesting that could have been revealed, you know, that maybe would have left something a little bit more open-ended, so that when you get to the end of the movie, you're thinking like the movie is done, you know, the two Ghostface killers are done, but it's almost like, wait a minute, but what if this or what if that, you know? I think that was a real missed opportunity. And obviously, and a lot of you guys said it too, you know, Stu would have been a very interesting thing. The Billy angle was all right. You know, I was kind of thinking that might be the case anyway, so I wasn't really surprised. And it was great seeing Skeet. But the other thing too is I thought that there would have been a little bit more with Sam's character, maybe that jockeying between, you know, sane and not sane a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Something along those lines, just to make her character stand out even more, you know, from a Sidney Prescott, and give her a little bit more, you know, edge. Now they might explore that going forward, and I would be very interested in that. And if they do, then that's fine. You know, maybe this was the beginnings, you know, and that's great. And I think they should. But yeah, those were just some of my little nitpicks. I think that at the end, I just thought that there was going to be, like I said, the motive was okay with me, but I just thought that there would have been something else kind of on there, you know. So it is what it is, man.
And that sort of goes to my, you know, and it's hard because when you know, and obviously fans do it as well, but like, when you make movies, you can't watch movies the same way, because your mind is always like, well, what would I have done? What would I have done if I had gone in this direction? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So there's always like, I really wish they had done not the same old thing. Two killers, blah, blah, blah. If they had given us some twist, and I'm guessing from what I know, studio mandates are like, no, it has to be a clean cut. You can't have leftover, because what if we don't make a sequel? I get it. I know that's what happened with 4. You know, Jill was supposed to continue on, and you know that would have been fucking great. But you know how it is. So I get it. But I would have loved some little add-on twist, a little hint as to, oh shit, this is gonna get darker and deeper than or a little something revealed. Well, fuck it. Like at the end of another really good slasher movie, Valentine. I'm not gonna spoil it here, but there's a last shot of that movie. You're like, oh shit, and then the movie ends. You're like, oh damn. So you know, something like that would have been, I think, would have set the fucking theaters on fire, and that certainly would have helped me lock onto this, you know, new direction a little stronger. But you know,
I agree.
It is what it is.
Well,
I gotta take off.
Yeah, I gotta get ready to head on out, guys.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much for hanging in.
Work beckons, and I'm not gonna say I'll be right back. I won't say that.
He's dead.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
See you, Knight. Take care, man.
Later, brother.
Take it easy,
Everybody
man.
in the chat, go check out Knight if you haven't subscribed to him. He's awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Later,
it.
buddy.
Talk to you later.
Get him out of here. All right. I love that guy. He's amazing. Okay, does anybody have any nitpicks they want to air out? Okay, Jake, let's hear it.
So like my biggest problem with the movie is Vince's death. I really think that was edited. Like 100% there's going to be a deleted scene with his full death, which is so weird to me. I don't know, like this movie's rated R. I didn't think they'd have to cut out a really brutal death, but that's what this feels like. There's even a scene in the trailer where we see Ghostface T-posing, given the get that really cool shot that wasn't in the movie. I definitely think this kill is longer, and they just didn't put it in for some reason. And I kind of, this is the only kill in the whole movie that I'm like really underwhelmed by. Ghostface just kind of pops up behind him and pokes him in the neck, and then he just kind of falls over and dies. Like his reaction is cool. His reaction falling on the ground and all the blood spraying out of his neck is awesome. But like besides that, it's a pretty hey, oh, look at that.
There you go. I'm acting it out for you.
I was a little underwhelmed by that scene. They definitely could have done more, especially because it's Stu's nephew. Like that's so cool. I want to see more. I want to learn more about this character. I wish we had another scene with Kyle Gallner. 100%.
Yeah, you know, it's that was a weird choice. He just kind of shows up and he does a little kind of like, you know, scuzzy sequence with everybody, and then he's out. And I would put his death right up there with oh my God, I'm blanking on her name. Scream 3, the blonde.
Something Jolie or whatever.
Oh my
God.
The big booby actress. Oh my
talking
God,
about Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, Jenny McCarthy. There you go.
Thank you. God dang it. I would put even her death was a little more exciting because he threw her through a window and stuff. But I would put it up there as sort of the least memorable deaths in the entire franchise.
And it sucks because. It sucks because I think the rest of the kills in this movie are pretty good. Like I think all of them are pretty damn disturbing and bloody and gross. But then there's just that one. It's like this one outlier of the whole movie, which is meh.
Yeah,
I'll be right back. I'm gonna take my cam off my kitchen.
Oh, you'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I can just. I'm the killer. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I could just stop the cam and it'll be okay, right?
Yeah. If anything, you can just pop back in. I'll let you in.
Alrighty.
All right, man. No worries. Sarah Darling. Yes, that is her name. One thing I will say, I really love the kills in this, and one thing I really loved is that the killers that you could tell who's who in a way. Obviously, the stab happy one is Amber. She's fucking nuts. You know, it seems like Richie only kills Vince, maybe. Because the kills and maybe Wes too. Maybe he's inside the house and he kills Wes.
I think Richie kills or tries to kill Tara too. That's my theory.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that, but that's a theory of mine.
I can see that. But I did like that. I did like that the killers did feel different, and then they felt unique to this movie. It wasn't. You could tell there was a little more anger there, and I do like that. I think that does give them flavor, you know, and distinguishes them from everyone else, from everyone who's come before. Anybody have any nitpicks?
Can I say something? I just want to address a couple things in the comments. One thing about the edits that I responded to in the comments.
Okay.
A lot of that is to do with the time frame. This movie was already almost 2 hours long. People that go to the movie theater, majority of them don't want to sit for over a 2-hour film. Majority. So they did edit a lot of the stuff for time restraints.
Yeah. But then again, we have Spider-Man, which is nearly 3 hours, and that's doing
right. But that's
$2
an
billion.
action, superhero movie. This is Scream. So that does have a lot to do with it. And even though it is rated R, and you know this as well as I do, MC, there's still restraints for gore and things like that, even with a R rating, especially in today's society. This isn't the 80s. You can't do whatever the hell you want. It's just, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
The other thing with the trailers, again, we will probably see that in deleted scenes. Maybe they did a screening, didn't quite work with the actual film as it portrayed in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer, it looked like a cool scene, but in the actual film, maybe it was too much. Maybe it was not necessary. Maybe it overshadowed other things. There's a lot of reasons they take stuff out of the trailers. It happens with a lot of movies, really.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Or they'll use alternate versions. Speaking of Vince, in the trailer, there's an alternate take. The camera follows him down and then comes up, and Ghostface is there. In the movie, it's two different cuts.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in the kill. And as you guys touched on before, that character, he is a really good actor. And they could have done a lot with his character and backstory and everything. But we didn't get backstory on really anybody except for, the Billy backstory. I mean, other than that, we didn't really get shit. So, but, you're setting up characters. You don't get a lot of backstory in initial. I mean, this is pretty much its new thing, its own thing. So you're not going to get a lot of backstory in the initial origin characters being the main characters. So.
Right. Yeah, for better or worse. If does anybody else have any nitpicks they want to bring up? Nathan.
Yeah, this probably be the last thing and then I gotta go, unfortunately. Gotcha. But I would say some things that, like, with some of the newer characters where we kind of didn't expect certain ones to go. I'd have to pull up their names specifically, but I mean, like the twins and the sheriff's son. I would have liked to seen their dynamic a little bit more. I feel like we had a scene or two of the group at high school, and then it just almost immediately went into kill them all individually, one by one, kind of a thing. But I mean, you had to save room for time, as we were discussing. So, but I think it would have been more interesting to kind of follow them around a little bit longer, and then have Dewey obviously be the main focus of the only real legacy character that really needed to be there until the very end, obviously, when you get Sydney and Gail. But I don't know. I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more of that, but maybe that was a residual from the show. Maybe there's too much. I never watched the show, by the way, so just to say that. But maybe
you didn't have to.
Didn't have. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I don't know if they maybe because it's a show, they have longer, airtime, so they can flesh out characters more or whatever. But I don't know. But I would like to have.
It doesn't matter. It's not connected to the movies at all.
I realize, right? I was getting to the point of I would have liked to see the teens interact better, a little bit more, just to kind of see their dynamic a little bit better. And that would be the last thing I would like to say. So
gotcha. All right. I'm gonna turn his camera off, and then here he goes. Hi, we see you. All right, Nathan. Take care, my friend. Thank you so much for jumping in. Real quick, this will be the final question I'm gonna ask everybody, but I'll ask you first before you take off.
Okay. Yeah.
If they make a part 6, part 5 is called Scream. What the fuck do you call part 6? Do you call it? And don't say Scream Kills.
Oh man, I just had a 12-hour shift. My brain's completely dead. Scream ?
Okay. Why not? Why not? I love it.
I know that's very silly. Scary movie, scary movie, Scream. I don't know, something like that.
There you go. I love it.
I'd have to think about it.
I like Scream ? That's kind of good. And Ghostface is like this on the cover. I like it. I think that's good.
Yeah.
All right, brother. You have a good night, and we'll talk soon. Okay, buddy.
Everyone.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
See you, man. Take care.
Amazing. Go check out Nathan Jones's channel. Everybody's links are in the description, by the way. People in the chat, if you don't know these folks, go check them out. They are amazing, wonderful people, and they're very, very knowledgeable and lovely, and they will put a smile on your face. Mr. Bones says, "Scream again, still screaming." I will say this. I pitched on this, but this was years ago. I've talked about it in the past. I pitched my version of Scream, but it was going to be a super meta take where it would take place in our universe and Scream was a movie, or like now it is a real movie. And it was fans of the movie Scream get targeted by Ghostface. And then David Arquette comes into town to help them out because he's at a Scream convention in town, the town that inspired Woodsboro. Anyway, so I pitched on this. And my title was Scream Again. And then yes, Fett, you're right. Part 2 was Scream Louder, and part 3 was Scream Forever. So that's where I would have gone with it.
So kind of a new nightmare route.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that would have been the ultimate meta move. And that, to me, that's kind of the only way that the franchise makes sense now is if you bring it into the real world. And it's an ode to Wes as well. So, but whatever, it didn't happen. But now that we have a potential 6 on our hands, what do you call it? We're in a Halloween Kills situation here. Let's go, Tony. What do you think? What would you call part 6?
Well, I think I scream, you scream. No, they should get out of the warmth and come over to like the East Coast and have like Ghostface in the snow. Maybe change the black outfit to like white.
Okay.
Creepy like that. You know, how cool would the blood look in the snow? And
right.
You know, he could be right on top of them. They won't see except for like the eyes and the mouth, maybe. I don't know. Everything's in California. No, you know, I know everything is in California.
Well,
it'd be cool to see like I always think it would be cool, like every like zombie movie is always like the warmth and, you know, they're running. It'd be cool to see them in the snow. You know, maybe I'm sure there is some, but like I don't know any. But as
what would you call it? What would you call it? Snow Scream? Ice Scream?
Snow blind. I don't know.
Yes, yeah, it's a tricky one. Okay, so you'd see them so you want a snow-based adventure where everybody goes skiing, and then they get taken out. There you go. Why not? Why not?
Shredder 2.
Oh God, nobody wants that. Oh Jesus.
Scream 666. Yeah.
There you go. Jake, what do you think they should call Scream 6?
You know, this might be a little cheesy, and maybe this franchise has already copied the Halloween franchise enough. But I kind of like the route that the new Halloween movies are going. Like, I'm not saying that we should go Scream Kills, because that would be way too on the nose, I think.
Yeah.
But I do like the whole idea of having it be like Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. You could do something like very similar to that, I think, with Scream, instead of just calling it 6 and 7. I think it would be kind of cool to do something like Bloody Scream, or Scream, something along the lines of this is going to be the one that's the most have a shit ton of kills in it or something. Because I definitely think that, if they do another movie, or they announce that 2 more movies are going to happen, they're for sure going to follow a very similar route to the Christ arc that the Halloween movies have. And what I mean by that, where it's just like the rise, the fall, and then the comeback. We're doing the same thing with Laurie Strode right now in the Halloween movies. At least I'm predicting. So I could see that being the case for the new Scream films, and then like kind of titling them things that would, you know, fall into line with what would happen in all those films. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think they can go back to numbering it now. It would be weird, you know. They have to give it a subtitle.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah,
Scream Legacy.
Scream Legacy. And Jake, if they do announce that they're making 2 more to make like a trilogy, then I bet you anything, I hope they do this, the middle one ends in a cliffhanger. Please,
Yes, oh my god, yes. I've been preaching that in my new videos lately. I'm like, I can't get off of that. I would just love to see a Scream cliffhanger. It would be so cool.
It'd be great, and especially because we know it was gonna wrap up. So then you bring us back. It's just it's a nice hook, and it feels like more cohesive to everything. It doesn't feel so floating off in the universe kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Let's see, Dan, Scream 6. You've been hired to give it a title. What would you call it?
Well, you can go like the Texas Chainsaw route and just call it Scream the Beginning and do whatever the fuck you want to do. Yeah, or you can just keep calling them Scream. Whatever, man. Like
just
the Final Destination, you can call it The Scream.
Yeah.
I would say keep it one word. One word movies just they click better with people.
But the thing is, the one word is Scream. You can't just keep calling them Scream, and people can be like,
right. But another one word though, like yell. I don't know.
No.
Or you can go the more serious route and go with a movie tie-in and call it the Woodsboro Murders. So I don't know.
Yeah. But we might leave Woodsboro, which kind of worries me because I really like the Woodsboro setting. Honestly, my least favorite ones are the ones outside of Woodsboro. I feel they're very much outliers. So if we leave Woodsboro, I don't know how I feel about it, but we'll see. By the way, you're fired from naming Scream 6. We can't call it Scream again. Fired. Get out of here. Hold on, Tony. Let me get back to you. Let me see what Tony has in mind. I'm hiring Steven. What do you have in mind for Scream 6 or Scream whatever?
Well, I probably would be fired quickly because this should have been Scream 5, and I refuse to call this movie Scream. I won't. I just don't. I'm unapologetic about it. As this is Scream 5. It's the 5th movie in the franchise, and it has the legacy cast. I know Mindy calls it a requel, and I kind of like the way she explained a requel. With the new and the old in the movie. That was pretty cool. So I'll go with her. This is a requel. It's not a reboot. It's not a fresh start over. This is as much of a sequel as it is a new beginning. It's a requel. So Scream 5 is what this is. Scream 6 should be the next one, but I know it won't be. So you guys have come up with some good ones. I so anti, and again, I'm not like dogmatic about it, but I'm so just like over this movie being called Scream because it's like, no, that is a Wes Craven masterpiece. This is a new movie. You don't call it Scream. We have Scream. So and I know that the directors, even in an interview recently, were talking about how they did that because they wanted to be meta within the movie and, talking about how Stab 8 is Stab. So it's going to be funny because we're going to just call it Scream, not Scream 5. Right. And so it was part of a joke, meta thing they wanted to do. But the problem is when you do this, now you're stuck. Because if you do Scream 2, well, now we're going to have doubles of everything. Yeah. And so that just gets ridiculous, right? So I don't know. I mean, Scream Returns, Scream Louder, Scream, those, you guys have come up with some good ones already tonight on these because I'm just so set against it. I don't even care. And I love the movies, but I just don't, what they name it, whatever. Just do it. Just make another one. And I think I'm leaning more towards Jake's philosophy that following that Halloween model because we got this, Halloween and then we have Scream. And now, again, I don't think it'll be Scream Kills. But it will be saying something, and then, Halloween. But the only thing is, if you put ends on it, like Halloween ends, well, this is not a Halloween video, but I mean, right. What does that mean? Are you saying you're done with Halloween? There's too much money to be made. There's going to be another one. So now maybe that means the end of Michael Myers. I don't know, but then whatever. I won't diverge us there, but I'd say short answer for you, Chaos, is I don't know, bro. I don't, and I honestly don't really care. I really don't. Whatever. Just make it and make it good. Yeah. And I'll go see it. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tony, you wanted to chime in on something?
I was just going to say Screamsicle. Screamsicle, where the snow won't be the only thing that freezes your heart. I don't know.
There you go.
You could get the outfit from Dead by Daylight with the icicle and everything.
Yeah. Well, I
don't know.
Anything's possible. I mean, fucking Billy's
Would
ghost hallucination. He's gonna have to be in the next one. You can't just ignore that.
Well, that's true. I mean, and
Yeah.
the fact that you brought that up, because they didn't have to do that. So if Radio Silence was trying to do a clean break, like we want to cut out the entire history, and after this movie, they would not have Sam with these issues and have her seeing Billy. She could have the issues, but not see Billy.
Yeah.
But now that she's Billy's daughter and she's seeing him, that's not magically going to stop in 6, right? So we have to assume. So now you're always connected back as long as she's alive, unless she gets somehow some kind of a cure or whatever down the road. But in my mind, I just had to jump in because in my mind, you made a great point. Even if they don't bring Sydney back, Billy's going to be there, and so then it's like, well, why not bring Sydney? Because if you're going to have Billy there, they're intertwined together. That's the franchise. So anyway, it's interesting. I'm just saying it's an interesting choice that they did that because it tells me that they don't want a clean break fully.
Right. It's another nitpick that reminded me of the whole Billy situation. Why does she see him in the outfit from the end of the movie? Oh, you know what I mean?
Yes.
She wasn't there. I mean, if she's seen the movie, then she wouldn't even. I mean, she's probably seen pictures of him, whatever, like in the newspapers and things like that, or maybe autopsy photos. But I doubt she would look for autopsy photos of her dad. That's kind of weird.
Well, we were just saying like they cut shit for time. Why didn't they cut that?
Right.
They could have cut more of that out, honestly.
I agree. And then the thing that just kept bugging me is like, wait a minute. But if she knows him from the movies, then wouldn't it be Luke Wilson that she sees?
Maybe she just puts Luke Wilson's her father's face on Luke Wilson's body.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We brought Luke Wilson in just to stand around, and then we digitally put his face. And then, like, where's the bullet hole? Why is the bullet hole not there? Why is every other wound there except that?
That's a good point. I did not think about the bullet hole missing.
There's a lot.
It would have been cool if she saw Billy, it would have been like American Werewolf from London, where every time she saw him, he just got more and more bloodier. And at the end there was the bullet hole, and it was just like all blood.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's
pretty tight.
That would have been sick, actually. Yeah,
great. That would be freaking great. And honestly, whatever pills Sam is taking, they're not working. They are not working.
Up the dosage, man.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we're at about 2 hours here, so I think we're good. I think we're about to wrap it up. So why don't we just give our last thoughts here? This has been amazing. I've seen it 3 times. I'm gonna go see it 4 tomorrow. With my son. My kids love horror movies. They grew up with this shit. They know it's fake. They know it's all in fun. My daughter's favorite horror movie is Scream. She's 13 years old.
Nice.
She walked out of part 5 heartbroken, and she goes, "I will never watch that again." And this is talking about the young audience. And I was more like, I'm more okay with it than she is. But she was like, she doesn't want to come with us again to watch it tomorrow. We're gonna go to D-Box. At least D-Box, you get to move around a little bit. That's kind of fun. She doesn't want to do it. She goes, "I'm done. I never want to watch that again." She, to her, seeing Dewey die really affected her, and she goes, To me, the movie ends with 4. I have to respect it. As a fan, she's approaching it. As not only a young fan but a mature horror fan. She's saying, "I'm done. I did not like this direction." And you got to respect that opinion. And
yeah, I
don't know where I lay. I still don't know where I lay with this movie. I think I've already fucking pre-ordered the 4K because that's what I do. But and I'm probably gonna watch it, just as much as I've seen part 3. And then maybe I'll make peace with it. And then maybe part 6 comes and it fixes it for me. And then I feel like, okay, then I'm cool with it. I think I'm cool with it. But that remains to be seen for me. Dan, final thoughts. What do you think of this? Are you happy with this? Could you give 2 shits? Or are you excited for part 6?
I will say something you said too was I took my kid to see this as well, and he was very upset about Dewey's death as well. So he's a big horror fan like myself. He's been part of my YouTube since the beginning. So my final thoughts. First, I want to say nobody said anything about how well Deputy Hicks aged. She looked very good.
Yeah.
So I do want to point that out. Also, the whole breaking the third wall, or whatever you want to say, however you want to call it, the little YouTube video that they were watching, someone in the comments mentioned earlier, they did say something about the title of the film as well. You know, that Stab 8 was just called Stab or something, just like this was just called Scream. That was my favorite part of them kind of breaking that barrier. I could have gone without this, but I don't think it's a franchise that will ever die. I mean, this is too big. There's too much money involved. We can all agree on that. Ghostface is too iconic. Not my favorite of the, horror franchises by far, but it's an enjoyable one. You always look for the kills. You want some innovative kills. You want something different, but yet you want something the same. You look for that kind of comfort in this film that you look for in a horror franchise. You mentioned Halloween a lot on this, MC. Going back to that, you could do something completely different like Halloween 3, and there is no fucking Ghostface. I mean, you could. But will it work? Who knows?
No.
I mean, there isn't really... I haven't really watched the Scream TV series, but I don't think that revolves around Ghostface, right? Really?
Oh, it does. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's
Right.
sort of a dollar store knockoff.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can still do with this franchise. You can take chances. And you got to look at it, too. If theaters aren't around anymore, you might have to take a different approach if that is the case. Because, like I said, you're going to get a different experience in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm good either way, but I don't think it's a franchise that we'll ever see the end of.
For me, I would honestly, I want the franchise to die peacefully and just be a beautiful movie. There's no Citizen Kane 6 with Citizen Kane's granddaughter, running a newspaper. It's just like, can we just have a beautiful thing that lasts on its own? We don't need to beat it to death. That's just how I feel about it. Or retroactively, look at the Chucky franchise. I hated Cult of Chucky. I thought it was ridiculous. The TV series made me like that movie. I was like, okay, you retroactively fixed that canon weirdness. I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it.
And the last thing I will leave with is, I know we've all touched on this already with Sam's character and her flash, her seeing Billy and all that. You could go a complete Dexter route with that, how Dexter is with his dad.
Spoilers.
That's not a spoiler that's in the previews for the show.
I haven't seen the previews. Thank you very much. I was starting the show tonight. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, you could go that route. I know we've all kind of mentioned, she could go completely insane, and
we'll see. That'd be amazing. I would love them for them to shake it up. That'd be amazing. Tony, final thoughts.
I said in my review that I didn't post yet, I don't care how many they make. I know I'm going to go see them all. So, because I'm a fan. So, but do I feel like they need to make like 10 more? No. Like you said, I don't want to get beaten to death. But if they did, I'd probably still go see them. So, that's basically how I look at it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, the show, I think it does like 2 seasons, and it's like this it's based on something different, but it's like sort of the same. But then the 3rd season, you have Ghostface, like you have the mask. I recommend checking it out. It's not that bad. Like it's bloody too, very, very bloody. And there's a Randy type guy, which I would have been cool if he was in this, or if he was. No, never mind. I have another thing I was going to say, but I'll save it for afterwards. I'll tell you guys about it, where there could be a 3rd killer. I mean, that might be reaching though.
Oh, tell us now.
Well, all right. You know how in the beginning where she gets the video of Amber, or isn't it? Yeah, Amber's the killer, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're showing that video, and then you see the knife in front. And it's like, okay, there's 2 people there. You're assuming that the other killer is the boyfriend, and if the boyfriend was the other killer, that has to be him with the knife.
Mhm.
But what if it wasn't? What if that is actually the third killer and it was like in real time, and the boyfriend was there somehow at the house, and then went back that night to go to work the next day, because his sister was attacked. Maybe he attacked the sister, and the other two were doing the camera work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Remain,
Because if not, that it's a recorded video.
Right.
I think it is. I think
it's recorded. Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know.
Well,
that was my thought.
They made it look like he recorded it right then, but maybe.
I think it's a pre-recorded video, and that's what was the misdirection of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But could have been pre-recorded like a minute ago.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it wasn't streaming was what. Yeah. I thought it was interesting that she had to click a video file and not have like a live Facebook Live where he's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was interesting that it was a file versus like a live like we're doing now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just interpreted it when I saw that it was. I mean, but again, I wasn't there. Maybe it wasn't, but it just seemed like it was pre-recorded, because how could Richie be? Well, yeah, Richie would have had to. How could Richie be in front of her window, and then, drive? I guess he'd have to drive over to Tara's house like super quick while he's on the phone. That would be really different. I'm just saying, logistically, it would be kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
To execute that.
Well, like right after that, he pops out like behind the door or whatever.
Right,
That's what I'm saying. That's Richie. The third killer is holding the knife up, and she's there, and that clip was taken right then and there, and then he sent it.
You're saying the third person sent the clip?
Yeah. I don't think it's pre-planned. Like, oh, let's do this and then send it to her this night. Maybe that. I'm just saying that'd be cool if that was the third killer. That's Stu going, yeah, baby, do it.
I was gonna say Stu Mocker, yeah.
There you go, exactly. Oh, one thing about that opening kill, something to pay attention. I noticed this on my second watch, and on the third watch, I'm like, I'm gonna pay attention to this because I think she does something really weird here. In the opening kill, watch what Jenna Ortega is doing. She's got a pot on the stove. She's pouring some stuff into it. She's stirring it around, talking about the Babadook or whatever, and then she gets something from the cabinet. Then she comes over. She gets the pot she was like working on, and she pours it into the sink. And I'm like, what the hell is that? What is she doing? Like, I thought she was making soup, and she just poured her lunch out or her dinner out. So I don't know, but pay attention to what she's doing. It's one of those things I feel I need to unpack, because maybe I'm missing something. It's just out of frame.
Is she straining pasta? Like,
No,
that's what I'll do.
She's making ramen noodles. On one of the TV ads that came out, you see her open up it's a package of ramen noodles that she just falls out of the package.
Oh.
So it actually shows in the trailer, one of the trailers.
Like, I make spaghetti a lot. I just love spaghetti. That's a really weird thing to bring up. But like, what I'll do is I'll put the strainer in the sink.
Yeah.
And after I boil the noodles, I'll just pour it right into that, and then put it back in, mix all the sauce and shit in. So I don't know. That's a weird thing to talk about with the new Scream film, but screw it.
Spaghetti tonight on Nothing Else TV.
Well, and with ramen noodles, it's you want to leave it in the pot, right? Because they basically, whereas you don't drain it, because it's soup.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good.
That's the only thing that's interesting about that. Maybe she was so freaked out. Like, how sometimes if something like that happens, of course, nothing like that's happened to me, but some kind of a humongous event or some bad news you get, and you're in the motion of doing stuff, and you just get completely disoriented. Like, you don't even or maybe she was just like, I'm just gonna go dump this out because something bad's about to happen. And I saw stab, and I know what happens with popcorn when you leave it on the stove. I don't know, my house burning. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know, man.
It's interesting.
But I just noticed that. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? It was either weird screen direction or, I did stay away from a lot of the trailers. So maybe it is she just doesn't know how to make fucking ramen. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, it's a whole blob of ramen noodles. Those little square packages?
Oh, shit.
She's floop, it just flops in the pan. I'm like, oh, okay.
Amazing. Okay, great. Well, thank you for solving that mystery for me. That's amazing.
You bet.
Jake, final thoughts, man. How many times are you watching this in theaters, and how many videos are you planning to make?
I'll definitely do another one continuing, because dude, I made a 30-minute long like spoiler review of this, and I still have more to say that I feel like I didn't get out in my video. I really loved this film because, like, dude, if you go back and watch my coverage of it for the past 2 years, like, there are things I said like a year ago that actually happened in this movie, and I was shocked. I mean, I couldn't believe they actually did some of the things I was like, oh, cool, that would be cool to see, and they did it. The one thing, obviously, I would have loved a cliffhanger ending, but it's understandable because they had to like make this conclusive, and I think it's especially conclusive for our OG characters that at least made it through this one. But if they do end up getting a 6 and a 7, Radio Silence does a full trilogy. Yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. I think they're doing a cliffhanger ending, and it's going to be one long Ghostface story instead of having 2 different killers in both movies. I think for sure that's what they're setting up, and I love this movie. I think one of the biggest things that I wasn't even expecting from it, that I didn't even say I wanted. It was something I didn't realize I needed about a Scream movie that this film does, is it's so fast paced. So compared to the other movies, this is like the fastest. It doesn't feel like it's almost 2 hours. It ends and you're like, I want more. That's how I felt about it personally. And Devante, I'm so glad that you also like spaghetti, because wow, maybe my favorite food ever.
Maybe Scream Spaghetti. Maybe that's the title for part 6, and it's an Italian-based one. They go to Italy on vacation, and he kills people with like a baguette or something. There you go. But I guess here's the thing. For me, my final thoughts are, to me, Scream ended with Wes. He's gone. The true heart of the franchise to me is officially in the ground with Dewey. And whatever happens now, to me, is, and I hate saying this because I want to be positive about these movies, and I want to see good stories told in this universe, but they feel like they're going to be fan fiction. That doesn't mean it could be bad. It could be good. It could be really good and rewarding fan fiction. But whatever happens to the legacy characters from now on, in my mind, Dewey and Gale are still married happily in Woodsboro, and the one thing I do like about 5 in terms of like characters where they are now is that Sydney married Mark. I thought that was great.
That was awesome.
I like that. That's a small little thing that only the real people who are paying attention would catch, because they don't say Mark Kincaid from part 3. They just throw it out there, and that's great. I love that very much. But it is what it is. And everybody in the chat, I see there's a lot of passionate feelings about the film. I'm happy that the movie has so much love. I'm happy that Ghostface is still relevant and resonant to people, regardless of what happens. We've seen franchises rise and fall. Nightmare on Elm Street is taking a big dirt nap right now. He'll come back. Jason is now having legal troubles, but he'll come back. The differences are that those characters are very much their own movies. Ghostface, you have to build it around the human character, like human, but you know what I mean, the unmasked characters, and that's what kind of makes it tricky. But am I excited for part 6? I'd be lying if I said no. I really want to see where this goes. When it comes to ranking, here's what we'll do. Let's do a quick ranking. When it comes to ranking, for me, it's still going to be 1, 4, 2, 3, and 5, only because to me it feels like this one is outside of the canon. It's sort of its own story. So as much as I don't really like part 3, I still feel part 3 feels like a Scream movie. That's my feeling on it. Dan, how would you rank this real quick?
I already ranked him to someone earlier, so I'll just stick with my original ranking. Would be 1, 2, 4, 5, and 3.
Okay. Tony.
I would go 1, 2, 4, and I'd say 3 and 5 are tied, to be honest. Okay. But I originally was saying 3 and 5, but the more we're talking about it, it's like I'm gonna go 3 and 5. Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 4, 3, 5.
Gotcha. Jake.
1, 5, 4, 2, 3, probably.
Gotcha. Okay. Steven.
Man, I've thought about this question a lot, and I figured it may come up tonight, and it's very difficult for me to figure out exactly where I want this movie to be right now. So my rankings will probably change tomorrow and then the next day, depending on how I feel that day. Because those first four films are just they're all really special movies to me, and so it's hard to rank them anyway. But it's a little bit when you throw this new one in, it's like, where do I put it amongst my family? It's like, here are my relatives. You know what I mean? Like, I feel so much about these movies. But anyway, I'll answer the question tonight. As of to this moment only, for the record, I go 1, 4. Oh, this is where it gets me 2, 5, 3. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love 3. So, but someone has to be last.
Yeah.
Right?
So someone has to be last, and it's got to be the one with the explosions. Well, for
Whoever
better,
smells the gas.
the one who smells the gas.
That's right.
Devontae really hates part 4. Oh man, no, part 4 is honestly a genius movie, and you need to revisit it because it's way ahead of its time. And I mean, let's be honest. Part 5 is a remake of part 2 and part 4. Stealing elements with the whole chat group thing and the remake thing. We've kind of tread on that ground a little bit, but whatever. We're done. People have to go to bed. Let's wrap it up. These guys are on the East Coast, and it's late for them.
I got one last question for you, Chaos.
Okay.
Do you think if Wes Craven, I'll say Craven because there was a Wes in the film too, if Wes Craven was still with us, do you think Dewey would still be alive?
Yes.
100%.
I was thinking the same thing. So
He wouldn't kill anybody. He wouldn't. I mean, they lasted 4 fucking movies. He's the one who brought Dewey to life at the end of the first one.
2 times.
Yeah.
Scream
There's no way.
2 times after Scream 2. Remember in the studio, he looked sure enough dead in that scene, and he came back with the at the end as well. So, I think you're right, Chaos. No, I think he's alive. And I kind of throw one last thing out there just to get everyone's opinion on as far as the 6th movie goes. How would you all feel? Each of y'all feel if Kevin Williamson signed on as the writer, not just producer, consultant, but writer of the script? What would you guys think about that?
I would have no qualms. I would be very excited, especially because I really love the way he writes characters, and I think he would bring that fun energy back. I would be happy about it. But I do like Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But Jake, how do you feel about that? I know you're a Busick guy.
Well, yeah, I really like Guy Busick. I love the way he writes dialogue, especially in both Ready or Not and in Scream. I think that if they were all still attached to the project, yeah, I'd be down for it. Because, I think the story was curated by Kevin Williamson for this one, at least.
Yes.
He had some kind of creative control. So as long as Kevin still has creative control, yes, 100%. I don't think they could make another one without his consent. I would be kind of against it if he was like, nah, I don't want to be a part of the project. But I don't know if I want just him to be the writer. I think for sure he's amazing. I 100% agree. I think he writes characters maybe better than those guys for sure. But I would miss Guy Busick's snappy dialogue and maybe James Vanderbilt's story structure.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Yeah, hopefully we'll hear something. It would be ridiculous if 6 is greenlit and it's a whole new creative team, and then I think we worry.
Yeah, wouldn't like that.
That's true.
That would be bad. That would be real bad. And let's pour one out for this guy who will not be back in any other films.
He was so
great.
good.
He was good, man. Jack, you will be missed, but you'll live on as the 25-year-old who was having sex with a teenager while murdering people.
Yep.
Wow.
Because that's what happened, guys.
That's something no one's talking about. What the hell?
She's in high school.
Bro, I didn't even think about Amber being in high school.
Or for trauma.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That's weird. That's weird.
I never thought about that chaos that with
Yeah.
him and Amber,
Maybe
the age
she's
difference.
18. Maybe she's 18.
There you go. Maybe
Yeah.
18-year-old senior. That's right.
He's murdering people, and the worst thing is
Right.
he's
Yeah.
having sex with a teenager.
You're like, but you know she's underage. I'm about to kill you. Yes, but did you know? She's still in high school. I guess it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they dead, and the franchise continues, and hopefully we'll hear some good news. I will be watching Killjoy Jake and Craven Something Scary to find out if Part 6 is coming. So you guys in the chat do the same. These guys are amazing. I'll have them back, as well as Dan from Eject Films and Mr. Tony of the Dead. I love doing these. I rarely do spoiler discussions of movies unless it really means something to me, and I really had to beat this one out with a whole bunch of people. Well, that sounded weird. That sounded strange, but you know what I mean. I hope so. Anyway, I had to masturbate while talking to these people. So now that we get what's happening, we can call it a day.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
If you weren't jerking off, you were doing it wrong, guys. Let's just start again.
Sometimes when my camera shakes, that's what I'm doing.
Quick question. Do you guys want Part 6 next year, or do you think they should wait 10 years? I mean,
2 years.
2 years? Okay.
I say 2 years.
3? Tony?
2 to 3 years is good. I don't want to wait another 10, 11 years.
Hopefully you don't have to.
I'm next year. Let's go. I'm ready. Why wait, man? Let's go. 2000 and like Wes Craven. Of course, not good. Wes Craven was a master, but he got Scream 2 up less than a year when Scream 1 came out, guys. And Scream 2 was a phenomenal sequel. Now, I know this Radio Silence are great, but listen, Wes Craven, that's not even fair, right? That's a legend. Right. So maybe not that quick, but I would love 2023, even if it's the end of the year.
Right.
So it's almost 2 years. You know?
Yeah, I think they can definitely do it. And from what I understand, they're developing it, so they can definitely do it. Devontae, maybe they weren't having sex. Stella, we don't know they were having sex. She called him babe and hun. They were fucking. They're crazy.
When she looked at Richie in that kitchen, that was the look of someone that you were intimate with. That look she gave him was very. Yeah.
They were banging. Come on.
You could see it, man. She was like on bliss. Yeah.
Yeah, man. She's. I'm pretty sure she's seen his wiener. I mean, come on, guys. Let's be mature about this. She's looked at his wiener. Okay. I am almost 45. Believe it or not. Let's call it a night. My friends, thank you for joining me. These guys are amazing. These guys are wonderful. It's an honor and a pleasure to have them here. And I'm honestly humbled for you guys to share your time and your knowledge and your boisterous good cheer with me. Reject Films, tell us a little bit about your channel and what you offer the folks at home.
Absolutely nothing. Channel's a little on hiatus right now. It's been about 2 weeks since I've uploaded anything, just because of other things going on in life. But just Blu-ray updates, reviews, the typical YouTube, movie stuff, giveaways, exclusive giveaways for patrons, things like that. Just a little bit of everything. I actually have something different coming up here soon that I've already filmed, and just have to edit together. Sometimes I'll throw some random videos in there just to change things up, but pretty much the usual.
Fantastic. Tony, what could you tell us about your channel and what you offer folks at home who are not masturbating, or maybe they are?
Just go subscribe and check it out. I do a bunch of things, reviews, live chats. I'm over here a lot. Just check it out. Mostly horror, but a little mixture of other things as well. I'm not really on hiatus. I just don't give a fuck right now.
There you go. That's good too.
I'm trying to watch other things. So
that's perfectly fine. Jake, tell a little bit about your very informative channel.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I try to cover just about everything that's coming out in the world of horror, like at least all the bigger stuff. But I also talk about some little stuff. Like I'll talk about the new Scream movie. I talk about Halloween Ends. I'm doing coverage on those movies currently. But I'm also talking about the Orphan prequel. I'm talking about this new movie X that's coming from A24 in a couple of months. So I talk about everything over on that page. I upload daily too. So if you want to go check that out, if you want some horror news just about every day, like podcast style, go check it out. Subscribe to Killjoy Jake.
There you go. I'm very excited for that Orphan sequel. I loved Orphan, man. That's a good movie, man. Shit.
I'm pumped.
It's so good. What's happening over at Craven Something Scary?
Well, it's my channel is, like you say, Craving Something Scary. It's all horror all the time. My channel is named after the great Wes Craven, and I am just a fanatic of his films, all of them, going back to, like I said earlier, from the very first one he did, Last House on the Left, all the way up through where we are with his last film that he produced, which was Girl in the Photographs from 2015, which came out a month after he passed away. So anyway, so what I do on my channel is I try to upload almost daily, sometimes every other day. It's been Scream 5 content for the last 3 months, basically, because why not? It's the thing to talk about, and it's going to continue to be that thing. So I'll be posting videos, my theories about the next film, breaking down what we've talked about tonight in a lot more detail. And so if you like Scream, if you like horror movies, you like Wes Craven movies, come check it out. And check out, I also do live streams like this, which are just a blast. And I just started doing them recently, and I really think they're a lot of fun. So come over and check it out. And if you like it, smash that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it.
There you go. When are you going to have me on, man? I'm ready.
I was going to say, when we got off the live, I want to talk to you because I'd love to have you on like really soon.
Oh, my God.
I really would.
I'm hearing this thing called the Killer Collective. I think it's called
the Lethal Collective. If we have a second, I'll tell you what that is. If you brought that up, So Killjoy Jake right here, Nightwatch Zone, who was with us earlier, and Fate Decided, who's another mostly Scream content creator. We've come together and formed what we're calling the Lethal Collective, and we have our own YouTube channel that every single Friday at 5 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern, we do a live stream, and they usually run an hour to 2 hours like tonight. And we talk about horror movies. We talk about all just random things sometimes, but mostly horror-related topics and horror films. We just do it together as a group, and we have a blast. And you can actually go to that channel also. We just search for Lethal Collective channel. It'll pop right up, and it's really a lot of fun. And so we appreciate the plug there, Chaos. I really do. That's we just launched the channel this past week.
I saw it. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. Hopefully I'll be invited in to say wieners a lot.
We may have to talk about the sexual content, but we'll work it out.
I'll be the wiener guy you call in. Hey, how many wieners in the movie? Well, I counted 6.
The wiener count.
The wiener count.
Nice.
There was a half wiener for half a second. Anyway, yes. These guys are great. I love what they do. Oh, real quick, Steven, what's your least favorite Wes Craven movie?
Oh, wow. That he directed or that he produced?
Directed. It's gotta
dang
be
it. I thought you were going to give me
Brooklyn.
Okay. Vampire in Brooklyn. It's kind of rough. Okay, I'm gonna say that it's a little rough. So I'm gonna probably say for right now I'll go with Vampire in Brooklyn, man.
That's
it was either well, it was either that or it was Hills Have Eyes 2, which is a lot of rehash of the first one. Yeah. But here's the thing the thing about 2 that I loved is that we got to see the dog become a killer, and I'm like, this is fantastic. So that kind of saved it for me. Yeah. So. It still might be the Hills Have Eyes 2, though. I don't know. It's a tie right now for me, man.
I love Eddie Murphy, but Jesus, Vampire in Brooklyn is rough, man.
Well, and that had a lot of issues. What's that? I'm sorry.
I have to revisit that. I haven't seen it probably since it came out.
Yeah, it's the thing. Well, what hurt that movie the most was Wes Craven wanted to make a horror film, and Eddie Murphy wanted to make a comedy. And they never could come to a place where it balanced right. And so, it was a great opportunity, man. But Wes wanted him to be more of a straight horror vampire role. And by the time he gets there, it's the end of the movie, and it's like too late. And so anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I do agree. It's tough. That's probably it's a brutal one.
Yeah,
Yep.
a brutal one for sure. All right, I've been saying this for 40 minutes. This is the end. If you don't know me, Master Chaos TV, I'm fairly regular. Wow, that sounds like I'm talking about diarrhea. Let me take that again. I usually it depends. I used to be daily. Now I'm cutting back because as my day job, I'm a filmmaker and things are ramping up now again, thankfully. So I will be getting busier later in the year, but I cover everything. Like I said, the most eclectic movie channel on here, mostly movie reviews. Everything from, what did I just review? Look at this. Black and white rape dramas directed by Ida Lupino, and
Wow.
one of Sam Raimi's most unsung hits, The Gift. Have you guys seen The Gift? This is a good damn movie, man. Good movie. And let me be a pervert for a minute. Katie Holmes is naked in this movie, so it's an amazing goddamn movie. The Gift.
I don't think I've seen it.
And going back to Dawson's Creek. Thanks.
Going back to Dawson's Creek, yes. Anyway, let's cover tonight. I love you guys very much. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for watching. You guys are amazing. Let's just celebrate the fact that Scream is alive. Ghostface is here, and if he dies, let's hope he goes out a little more peacefully than Dewey did. I love you very much. I love you just the way you are. Take care of yourselves. Until we meet again. Signing off for now.